BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 6 o'clock, I'm Barry Caffrey. The headlines: MK budget rejected, Beds PCC triggers referendum for higher council tax, and more say for parents of children with mental health problems.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A controversial Milton Keynes Council budget, which was set to make £22 million of cuts, has been rejected by councillors. Both Conservative and Liberal Democrat councillors voted against the proposals from the Labour administration. Our political reporter Paul Scoynes was at the council meeting last night.
The defeat of the budget, with both opposition parties voting against the Labour Council, is a blow for the party just months before the general election. There were concerns about the number of vulnerable people who've been affected by this budget, and wider concerns that the budget simply wouldn't work. All parties must now go away and negotiate a budget, and will meet again in a week's time. If they don't, the government will ultimately pass it for them.
The Prime Minister has criticised the Bedfordshire Police and Crime Commissioner for his plan to charge the public more for policing in the county. Labour PCC Ollie Martins has triggered a referendum by asking for a 16% increase in the police precept on council tax bills. But David Cameron says that's unnecessary.
The fact is, crime is falling. Full credit to the police. They've managed to do more with less. And I think there are further efficiencies that they can find, coordinating with other forces, making sure that they share some of the costs, and they should exhaust all those processes before putting taxpayers' bills up.
The Defence Secretary Michael Fallon has warned that the Russian President Vladimir Putin may seek to destabilise more former Soviet states such as Latvia, Lithuania and Estonia. Mr Fallon said NATO must be ready to rebel Russian aggression, whatever form it takes. His comments come as the ceasefire in eastern Ukraine continues to unravel amid mounting international condemnation of Moscow's role in the conflict. Parents of children with mental health problems in England are to get more say in how their child is cared for. A survey of parents has suggested major problems, including long delays and poor care. NHS England has now pledged to work with the charity Young Minds to improve the situation. Researchers at the University of Hertfordshire have developed a prototype of a social robot to help elderly people live independently. It can potentially help to prevent isolation and loneliness, as well as offering stimulating activities. Over the past 3 years, the project team successfully carried out a wide range of studies in the university's robot house. In cricket, England's women have won their first 2020 international against New Zealand in Whangarei by 8 wickets. And the weather forecast: most places will start dry and cloudy, but a band of rain will spread in from mid-morning onwards, with most parts ending the day wet. It will become quite windy too, with highs of 8 Celsius, that's 46 in Fahrenheit. Get the latest news and sport online at bbc.co.uk/3 counties.
Come here, give me a big cuddle.
Don't panic, Mr Mannering. Apologies to all women on HRT. Justin Dealey is not presenting the show this morning. He's sent back out to the streets where he belongs. He's a street dog. He's a doggy dog. He's a bad boy. Morning, Catherine.
Hi.
Morning, Kelly.
Morning.
Yes. This and much, much more.
Read the menu.
I'm going to read it.
I wrote it for a reason.
Rabbits, referendums, and robots. And you'll have to listen to the entire show to find out which one of those will not be in it. Is it rabbits?
Shh.
E. Oh yeah.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Jamie's in Luton. He's called up immediately. Good morning, Jamie.
Morning, mate. How you doing?
It's so good to have a call. Top of the show. Slightly disappointing it's you, but what have you got for us, Jamie?
Dishwasher this morning.
Sorry?
A dishwasher for your house.
Oh, flipping heck. Yeah, well remembered. OK, hang on. We are furnishing... hang on, let me get the bits of paper. Oh, no, that's... right, hang on. Right. We are furnishing a house from bits found by the side of the road and in tips and all that. Jamie, where is this dishwasher?
Again, Sunderland Park.
Right.
You might want to use this at your own peril, because the brand is ISIS.
Oh, they're branching out, aren't they, eh?
There you go.
They are branching out. OK, so we could stick a label over that or something.
You could do.
I'll be honest, Jamie.
Yep.
You sound a little bit spunkier than most mornings.
Oh, listen back to what you said the other day. Even though you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
You know, as my wife said, you got me down to a T.
What did I say? Just a bit grumpy.
You said that I was mysterious, but a little bit...
Turgid? Grumpy, that was the word, wasn't it? Grumpy. Turgid was the word we used off-air in the hour-long meeting we had about you after the show. So what have you... hello? What are you removing? Is it the air of mystery or is it the grumpiness?
Just the grumpiness.
Well, you gone back to it there?
Mystery staying.
You can't get rid of the mystery, can you?
Well, the grump's staying as well. You've gone back to being grumpy.
I can't help it, mate.
Oh, you can't.
About 9 o'clock, I'm fine. It's just being in here at 4:30 every morning gets you a little bit grumpy.
Where are you? Prison?
I wish.
Yeah,
I wish.
Thank you, Jamie. See you later.
See you later, mate.
Ta-ta. Oh, don't lose the grumpiness, Jamie. We like the grumpiness. So we got a dishwasher and it's only 6 minutes past 6. This is awesome.
You show us everything you've got. You keep on dancing and the room gets hot. You drive us wild, we'll drive you crazy. You say you wanna go for a spin. The party's just begun, we'll let you in. You drive us wild, we'll drive you crazy. You keep on shouting, you keep on shouting.
This is why school is wrong.
Go away.
People in this country deserve to have stuff for free.
I'm really feeling a hedonistic vibe today. Hedonism is the key. It's the word hedonism.
Mm-hmm.
What does hedonism mean?
The pursuit of pleasure.
Okay, not what I meant, but yeah, fine. No, all right, in that case, if that's what it means, we'll stick with that. Yeah, hedonism.
Well, you know we've got Scoinsy on in an hour.
Let's celebrate the magic of hedonism. What's the most hedonistic thing you've ever done?
Wasn't there a club called Hedonism?
Hedon is a place on earth.
Oh, yeah.
Hedon is a place on earth. Is the no? I had a very hedonistic day yesterday in that I allowed myself to fall down the rabbit hole of YouTube, watching Jan and Dean videos, then old videos of me, and then some sweary friends. It was great.
Sounds like a perfect afternoon.
It was flipping perfect. We're celebrating the magic of hedonism. Also, I want to celebrate the magic of biopics. Is that how you pronounce it? Biopics?
Right.
Biopics?
Yeah.
Biopics.
Films about people's lives.
That's it. We'll discuss that more in a bit. Slightly more important things to talk about, but we will get to that. There's a reason. One of the slightly more important issues is this. Milton Keynes councillors have been sent back to the drawing board after their budget plans were rejected last night. You remember we talked about this, was it earlier this week or was it last week, Catherine? About
I can't remember. It seems like a long
huge
time
budget
ago.
cuts that part of the...
It was last week.
Part of the impacts would be on places like Orbit Housing Association, which has shelters in Fishermead and Bletchley, who were going to have to close down if the budget plans went through. Well, they didn't, but they're still not completely safe. Let's speak to Gary Cowlard, who works at the shelters and was at the meeting last night. Morning, Gary.
Morning.
So the meeting got very confusing, apparently. What happened?
There was no backing. There was no backing of the Labour's thing. In fact, they got quite a bit of a trouncing, really.
So Labour need to make or are planning to make savings of £22 million. They got outvoted by the Lib Dems and the Tories.
Yeah.
What does that mean for Orbit Housing Association? Last week we were hearing that it was going to be closed. Is it just a stay of execution, or could it be something more permanent, do you think?
I'd like to hope it's something more permanent, but, you know, you've got to face facts. There has to be cuts. The idea that I have was that sort of, you know, it needs to change because, you know, with the hostel now, I think I said it last week, there's no move-on process. It's stalled. And there's only 2 years for each person in the hostel. For the hostel to survive, it's going to have to evolve. Like, it needs to turn into sort of longer term. Whether the council will be able to help with social housing at the end of it is going to be another matter. But I think the resource needs to stay, obviously. And there were a few councillors that seemed to be quite passionate about it last night.
Well, you say, just a reminder of those who missed it last week, Gary, you were homeless. You ended up in Orbit and it basically turned your life around, probably saved your life, and you now work there. But you say it needs to stay. When we spoke to the Labour member last week, he said, well, he has to make a choice. It's either the elderly and the disabled or the homeless, and he made the decision to you know, cut the budget to the homeless. The elderly and the disabled were more important.
The elderly and disabled are very important, obviously, but I think that there's a little bit of room for everything. As I said, the hostel as it stands, it can't, like everything, if it doesn't change, evolve, it becomes extinct, and that's very similar with what has to happen at the Orbit hostel now. You know, it's obviously it's got to become either cheaper or be run in a different way.
And also, the councillor we spoke to last week said that if Orbit were to close, worst case scenario, if it were to close, the people that would be made homeless from that, the majority of that, the council wouldn't have any responsibility for them because they are, a significant number of them are ex-offenders. The council isn't responsible in trying to find them a place to live. And that more people could end up, you know, living on the street as a result.
Well, there was a meeting at the hostel with the council actually this week, and the council and Orbit have told the residents that are there that nobody will be made homeless.
Oh.
The hostels will kind of stay open until everybody's found some sort of accommodation. Now, the thing is, the accommodation that you sign up for when you go into the Orbit hostel is that you'll get a secure tenancy. This isn't going to happen, but I think it's sort of, you know, I think there's sort of. There's a lot of recent studies that show that it's 3 times more expensive to have people living on the streets, like sort of living litter, rather than sort of give them a house. You know, that's actually there's studies that show that, and this is from places in America, and they're sort of not very wishy-washy and hippie-ish over there, are they?
No, they tend not to be, Gary. Just finally, because there will be some people scratching their heads going, well, hang on a second, why should we be helping these people? Just in 30 seconds, Gary, just sum up the impact that Orbit had on your life and why it is so important.
I'm I was street homeless, alcohol and drug dependent. Spent most of my life in and out of institutions and offending. I've now been clean and sober. It'll be actually 5 years on the 21st, so 3 days, 2 days.
Hey, lovely.
5 years clean and sober. I'm doing a degree in psychology. I now work helping people. I don't want to do anything else. I was a carpenter by trade for sort of I'd learned that through the YTS system and stuff like that. But now all I want to do is sort of help people that have gone through the same things as me.
Gary, always good to talk to you. Thanks very much for making the case. Go and get your keyring in 3 days. 08459 455 555.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Marston Mortain on the A421 eastbound, that's closed because of an accident between Beancroft Road and the Marshleys roundabouts. The police are there redirecting traffic. In Dunstable on Chiltern Road, that's been closed in both directions because the tree's fallen down between the High Street North and West Street. And in Aylesbury, having a look at the speed sensors, it's fine at the moment on the A413, but there's some temporary traffic lights at the junction for Watermead that could slow things down later on. Looking at the train departure boards, the 6:34 service from Luton to Sutton is delayed. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yes, Sammy! 6:16. It's Thursday, the 19th of February. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A controversial Milton Keynes Council budget, which was set to make £22 million of cuts, has been rejected by councillors. And a new study suggests the NHS is paying too much for new drugs, leaving less money to cover the cost of other treatments.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
One of the great things about radio, BBC Radio as opposed to BBC Television, is we are free from that blooming 30th anniversary of EastEnders.
On BBC One. I'm glad Dad's marrying.
Oh, get stuffed.
Just like the white winged dove sings a song, sounds like she's singing. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Just like the white winged dove sings a song, sounds like she's singing.
Is it about a gap year?
Just like the white winged dove sings a song, sounds like she's singing. Ooh, baby, ooh, yeah, ooh. Just like the white winged dove sings a song, sounds like she's singing. Ooh, baby, ooh, yeah, ooh. Well, I hear you every morning, and I hear you at nightfall. Sometimes
08459 455 555. Now, Bedfordshire's Police Commissioner has officially triggered a referendum for a bigger slice of the council tax after writing to local authorities. Ollie Martins wants to raise his share of the pot by almost 16%. We mentioned this the other week when Ollie came in and explained it. Well, it's happening. The whole referendum is costing £350,000. It could rise to £600,000 if he loses, which his own polling suggests is entirely possible. Well, yesterday our political reporter Paul Scoynes attended a briefing about the referendum. What happened, Paul?
Well, Iain, we were given a demonstration of just how serious the force sees its position financially and also within the sort of amounts of crime that are happening in just the kind of context of how much money they need. And we had a presentation by the Chief Constable who explained where they were, and I've got a fascinating graph.
You've got graphs, I can see.
I've got graphs. Basically, it shows that the number of acquisitive crimes, that's basically nicking stuff, robberies, burglaries, car theft, that kind of thing. Bedfordshire Police is right at the top end. It's among some of the largest metropolitan forces in the country, ahead of some places that you would really be, quite surprised about. Merseyside, for example, is below Bedfordshire for those sorts of things. If you flip it over, though, and look at officer numbers, Bedfordshire is right down at the bottom. It is as low as it gets. Yes. And what the concern is from the Police and Crime Commissioner and, operationally from the Chief Constable is that Bedfordshire is funded like a rural force, and yet it has hugely urban problems. It's got crime areas, big pockets of crime, especially in the big towns, and they cannot go on anymore. And what this appeal for extra money from the general public is that there's going to be a funding gap of around £6 million in a few years' time, and they can't plug it. And they say that if they can't get this extra money, then they're not going to be able to do the frontline policing.
And so that's why Ollie Martins is calling for this, because he basically wants extra coppers, and he wants to plug a gap that will be there.
Yeah, he needs 100 extra coppers on the street. That's what this extra 15.8% on the amount of money that you pay on your council tax that goes specifically to the police force. It's called the precept. It's not 15.8% on your entire council tax bill. It's just the proportion of your money that goes to the police.
Now, he's conducted several polls. A few he's done himself. The most significant one, perhaps, is the YouGov poll, which Ollie came in and criticised, where I think, was it 70% of people were against this? Yeah, so it's looking like he could potentially, probably lose this.
Well, that was on a poll based on about 500 people.
Right.
And they put the question to people who are, a self-selecting panel. So they are people who conduct panel surveys. Does that make a difference? I don't know. Maybe it does. The referendum question that you will, if you live in Bedfordshire, you will go and answer on the day that you go and cast your vote in the general election, is very, very plain. It will say, more or less, part of the council tax in your area goes to the police. For the year beginning 1st of April 2015, it will rise by 15.8%. Would you like that, or would you rather pay 1.9% increase? And it's as simple as that. It doesn't go into any explanation about what that extra money will get, about the kind of pressures that the force is under. It won't say that it's going to get 75 officers into neighbourhood policing, it's going to get 25 officers into safeguarding and child protection, those sorts of things. It doesn't explain anything. It just is a cold, do you want to pay this or this on your council tax? And when answered, 70% on the YouGov poll said, no, we don't want to pay that. What Ollie Martins is saying, he's gone out with his team to shopping centres around Bedfordshire and has conducted his own polling. He's asked more people. He says he's spoken to close to 2,000 people now. And the response is 45% are saying, we will pay it, and there's more don't knows. So what they're saying is once they understand the context, then that rises to 85% of people saying they will do it. Now, what does that equate to, 15.8%? If you're in a Band D property, the average size property, that means you're going to pay an extra £25 a year or so. It's about 48p a week, they say. So what Ollie Martins is arguing is that he has a window where he can say, pay more money, get a better service, before the election, when of course he can't say anything.
But he's not going out doing. He's not. I asked him when he was in. We had an expert on who said he needs to go out there and treat this as an election campaign and go out and sell this story. And when I asked him what he was doing, He's got nothing in the diary. He's not got any plans, as far as he knew last week, to go out and shake hands and go on other radio stations and go in the local press and go and give talks in the evening to groups saying this is why you need to do it. David Cameron's waded in, hasn't he? What's he said about the referendum?
Well, that's right. David Cameron was on a visit to Luton yesterday to the Vauxhall factory, and he was asked by our colleagues at television whether or not they should. Or whether he agreed with the idea that this referendum's going ahead. Of course, it's the only time that this has ever been tested by any local authority. And this is his response.
Well, I think what we've done is made available the funding that's necessary, and you can see that by the fact that crime here in this force has actually fallen over the last 4 years. So the police have done a good job. They've got the percentage of officers on the front line has gone up. They've got crime down. And I don't think the Police and Crime Commissioner is right to want to increase the council tax in this way. Under our rules, he'll have to have a referendum, and it's obviously for local people to decide. But I don't want to see taxes go up in the way that he's proposing. Full credit to the police. They've managed to do more with less. And I think there are further efficiencies that they can find, coordinating with other forces, making sure that they share some of the costs, and they should exhaust all those processes before putting taxpayers' bills up.
Look at him with his dog dirt eyes. Look at him with his dog dirt eyes. Look at her with the rabbit's fur teeth. Look at him with his dressing gown nose. Look at her with the cul-de-sac arms. Look at him with his wheelchair heart. Look at her with the car boot bones. Look at him, look at him, look at him, look at her. Don't look at me, I don't like it. Don't look at her, she doesn't like it. Don't look at him, he doesn't like it. And don't look at her, because everyone knows she's got a washing line smile. Look at her with a washing line smile. Look at her with a washing line smile. Look at him with his dog dirt eyes. Look at her with the rabbit's fur teeth. Look at him with his dressing gown nose. Look at her with the car boot bones. Look at him with his wheelchair heart. Look at her, look at her, look at her, look at her. Don't look at me, I don't like it. Don't look at him, he doesn't like it. Don't look at her, she doesn't like it. Don't look at him, because everyone knows that he's got a sausage roll thumb. Look at him with his sausage roll thumb. Look at him with his sausage roll thumb. Look at her with a washing line smile. Look at him with his dog dirt eyes. Look at her with a dressing gown nose. Look at him with his polythene bones. Look at her with a hairdryer heart. Look at him, look at him, look at him, look at her. Don't look at me, I don't like it. Don't look at him, he doesn't like it. Don't look at her, she doesn't like it. So don't look at him, and don't look at me. We know you're spiders, there's nothing to see. We're lying on the grass, just hanging around. But we need some wine, so lend us a pound. Look at us with the red wine smiles. Look at us with the red wine smile. Look at him with his sausage roll thumb. Look at her with a washing line teeth. Look at him with his dog dirt eyes. Look at her with a wheelchair heart. Look at him with his dressing gown nose. Look at him, look at him, look at him, look at her. Don't look at me, I don't like it. Don't look at him, he doesn't like it. Don't look at her, she doesn't like it. So don't look at him, and don't look at me. We're out on a boat that is far out to sea. We clearly need help, so throw us a bone and turn this shit round, 'cause we wanna go
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In Marston Mortain on the A421, that's been closed eastbound between Beancroft Road and the Marshleys roundabout because of an accident, so police are there redirecting traffic. In Dunstable and Chiltern Road, that's closed in both directions between the High Street North and West Street because a tree's fallen down. And in Watford on St Albans Road, there's roadworks going on at Kingsway and Horseshoe Lane, so that could cause some delays later on, but it's not looking too bad at the moment. Checking the speed sensors in Bricketwood on the M25 junction 21A roundabout, it's starting to get quite busy there, but no delays reported so far on the M25 or the M40. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC's Three Counties Radio.
It's 6:30 with the headlines. I'm Barry Caffrey. A controversial Milton Keynes council budget, which was set to make £22 million of cuts, has been rejected by councillors. Both Conservative and Liberal Democrat councillors voted against the proposals from the Labour administration. The Prime Minister has criticised the Bedfordshire Police and Crime Commissioner for his plan to charge the public more for policing in the county. Labour PCC Ollie Martins has triggered a referendum by asking for a 16% increase in the police precept on council tax bills. The Defence Secretary has warned there is a very real danger that President Putin could try to destabilise other former Soviet states such as Lithuania, Estonia and Latvia, as has happened in Ukraine. Michael Fallon says NATO must be ready to stand up to Russian aggression, whatever form it takes. A new study suggests the NHS in England is paying too much for new drugs and that patients on other treatments will lose out as a result. Researchers say the current system of calculating the worth of a drug is doing more harm than good. And the weather forecast, most places will start dry and cloudy, but a band of rain will spread in from mid-morning onwards, with most parts ending the day wet. It will become quite windy too, with highs of 8 Celsius, that's 46 in Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
England's women have won their first 2020 international against New Zealand by 8 wickets. The BBC's Henry Moran reports.
After what they conceded was a disappointing start to the tour, England's women fought back in the best way possible here in Whangarei. It was as convincing a T20 victory as you can imagine. Asked to field, they reduced New Zealand to 18 for 6 before the White Ferns eventually struggled to 60 all out in the 20th over. As she has done all tour, Heather Knight once again starred with the ball. Her off-spin claimed 3 Kiwi wickets. The run chase was fairly straightforward. Just 2 wickets fell as England chased that small target of 61. They reached it in the 12th over. Captain Charlotte Edwards leading from the front with an excellent 32 not out. The perfect tonic to a tricky start to the tour in New Zealand, and England will be looking to do it all again tomorrow in the second T20.
Former England bowler Graham Swan says Paul Collingwood should be coaching England and not Scotland. Collingwood, who was part of the England setup for the World 2020 last year, is now coaching Scotland at the World Cup. England play Scotland in Pool A on Sunday. England fly half Danny Cipriani has ended speculation about his future by signing a new 2-year contract at Premiership side Sale. Cipriani, who scored for England against Italy in his first Six Nations game since 2008 on Saturday, had been linked with a move to French side Toulon. In the Champions League, Cristiano Ronaldo was on the score sheet as Real Madrid won 2-0 at Schalke in the first leg of their last 16 tie. Elsewhere, Basel and Porto played out a 1-1 draw in Switzerland. The knockout stage of the Europa League gets underway tonight with 4 British teams in action. Tottenham begin a run of 6 matches over the next 17 days when they host Fiorentina in the first leg of their last 32 tie. Liverpool are also at home against Besiktas. The Turkish side are set to include striker Demba Ba, whose goal for Chelsea at Anfield last season arguably ruined Liverpool's quest for a first Premier League title. Those are the sports headlines. I'm back with a full news bulletin at 7 o'clock.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Tim Wheeler.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
No. That one.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Yasmin Khan.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
I wish it was.
Hang on. Here we go. This is it. And at last, and play.
On FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is Edward Adu.
There we go.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
Edward Adu. If I was Edward Adu...
I'd have a show called Much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah, but then I'd have a feature called Edward's Ado's, Edward's Adon'ts. And he would tell you...
You should put these in an email. This is gold.
Why can't we laugh at people's names anymore?
You laugh at mine?
Yes.
Yeah, you laugh at mine all the time.
OK. Kelly?
Hi.
08459 455 505. Paul, you didn't vacate the studio.
Yep, I'm using my conjugal rights.
Well,
I don't think you know what that means.
Oh, do I mean...
contractual.
Yes, thank you.
OK. You've given Catherine the quiet microphone, which is interesting. A little bit of interesting psychology.
I just took the one closest to me.
OK. Well, what have you found in the papers?
Stand further away.
No.
Massive corporate...
What?
Massive corporate marketing mess-up.
What?
Krispy Kreme, the donut chain, has apologised after its whole store branded a children's half-term club KKK, presumably the Krispy King Club, the American white supremacist group, Ku Klux Klan, obviously quite similar. And a spokeswoman for the shop said, well, identical, in fact.
Not quite as delicious.
Not quite, no. At all. Spokesman said that the shop has now taken down the sign from point of sale.
But the thing is, right, I wasn't upset the fact that they called it the KKK. I mean, that's, people get upset about that. They're wrong to get upset about that.
Did this happen in England?
Yes.
Well, then no one is going to associate.
They're wrong to get upset by it. What annoys me is that Krispy Kreme are having a week of half-term activities, including a club for kids where they go and decorate donuts. Because that stuff, I mean, it's delicious, but you don't want your kids going and decorating those things. They will die of sugar overdose.
They're already quite sweet.
Yeah.
What, the kids?
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Kels?
Hi.
Yeah, we go. OK. Thanks for that story, Paul.
Thanks.
Catherine, show him how it's done. I got one.
Here we go. Detectives are hunting a chubby jet skier who goes mooning off beaches near...
Hey!
How will they recognise him?
You know the whole racist scandal with Chelsea?
Oh.
The train guys.
Yeah, sorry.
That escalated quickly.
Well, it did. Well, you know the whole... Is it bad that the only thing that I spent... I watched the clip today and I was disappointed. The only... the main thing that was bothering me about it yesterday was I was trying to work out what tune the chant was done to. Turns out there's no tune. I thought they were singing, singing a song.
Like Go West, you thought it was going to be da da da.
And that's the way we like it. That's...
It wasn't the Addams Family, was it?
No,
it wasn't. There was no tune. There was no tune at all.
Turns out it was just mindless racism.
Just a bit of racism.
Now, here's the thing. Hops and McClory. Mean anything to you guys? Hops and McClory.
They sound like rabbits.
They've been doing it like rabbits. A young couple, say young, she's 22, he's 30.
Oh, those guys.
They were having it away in a pub toilet. Classy, glassy.
But then what happened?
Coppers came in and pepper sprayed them.
Well, after asking them to desist.
Could you separate, please, guys? Detach.
It's like the slightly more Asbo version of throwing a bucket of water over two dogs.
Now, the thing is, right, look at the picture of them scoins. Well, I mean, look at him. He looks like someone who got rejected from Jeremy Kyle, and she looks all right. And you kind of think, what on earth is she doing with him?
I'll tell you what it is.
Yeah?
Blue Wicked. I've been banned from having that stuff.
Really? Does it make you...
Makes me really sweary. So if she's already sweary, it can only lead to that.
Does
that come in pill form?
No, Blue Wicked. It's an alco pop.
Oh.
I'd rather be liberated. I find myself captivated. Stop doing what you keep doing it too. I'd rather stay bold and lonely. I dream I'm your one and only. Stop
does someone do without love? And what does someone do with love? And what have you got to say about that?
I know we're a bit late to the party because we saw this on the telly on to Tuesday, and then I was ill yesterday. But it's still in the papers today. These idiots that want to go to Mars.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
Gosh.
So there are 5 British people that have been shortlisted in the 100 that may go to Mars.
They won't.
Then it seems that all they had to do to be shortlisted was make a wacky video on a webcam.
Yeah. One of them went to Oxford, though.
But what are they going to go to Mars for? To die. They're going to Mars to die. Now, some of them are quite plain, dare I say, ugly. They've got nothing to live for. But some of them are hot. And you think, well, why would you do that? You've got so much potential.
They're there to encourage the others.
Maybe it's some sort of biological engineering experiment to see what happens in the long term.
Is this actually going to happen, or
Exactly
is this nonsense?
It's not going to happen.
Why?
Won't happen.
It's Endemol are behind it, aren't they? And those guys are great.
Because of reality, it's not going to happen.
Oh.
Health and safety will probably knock it out of the sky. I mean, not literally.
That would be terrible.
Hopefully, of course.
So it strikes me as very odd. Do you remember that I was talking to Kath about this the other day? Do you remember Space Cadets with Johnny Vaughan?
Yes.
Wasn't that brilliant?
Oh, yes, I do.
Where they tricked a load of idiots into thinking they were in a Russian training camp, when really I think they were in Hertfordshire.
We think they ended it too soon, right? What they should have done.
Well, they then tricked 5 people into thinking they were actually going to space.
They thought they were in space for a moment, didn't they?
Yeah. For about 3 days, they thought they were in space.
They didn't exploit it to the further. I mean, we would have gone much farther, wouldn't we?
I'd have blown up the planet Earth in front of them.
That's the thing, right? But that's not where the thing ends.
Or had a giant spider crawling across it.
Once they think the Earth is ended, nothing to lose.
Yeah.
That's when the cameras start rolling.
Yay! That was such a good programme. They got a lot of flack for that halfway through, and they tamed down the ending a lot.
People.
Yeah, they tamed the ending down a lot.
Should have held their nerve.
Yeah, they should have done. Channel 4 do that. They also did a programme presented by Dermot with about sleep deprivation, where people were going to stay awake. He was going to see who could stay awake the longest, and then flipping hippies got involved, and then they had to have 15 minutes sleep every hour.
Oh.
Well, what's the point, guys?
Why won't the hippies get involved with me?
Sorry?
I could do with 15 minutes every hour.
No, mate. No.
Won't people learn that when psychologists and psychiatrists
And
get
doctors.
involved...
Welfare.
Yeah.
Ruins telly.
Health and safety. It's just... TV, as I was watching some clips of the 11 o'clock show on YouTube yesterday. I fell down the rabbit hole. And, okay, some of the stuff was a little bit racist and a little bit offensive, but it was funny. It was funny. Good old-fashioned humour.
But that was in the days when you could say really rude things and everyone knew it was a joke.
Yes.
Now you have to say hashtag joke.
Hashtag Bants. Classic Bants.
I saw one of those once, and I saw... I think you were interviewing the gangster. What was his name?
Which one? Mad Frankie Fraser?
Frankie Fraser.
Yeah. He's a very charming, dapper man.
You did have a look of utter fear in your eye.
I cheeked Mad Frankie Fraser, and then afterwards he came up to me and said, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "Yeah, you're Mad Frankie Fraser." We stopped him in the street, and he said, "I like you. I like your show. If ever you're in trouble, give me a call."
He would have.
Well, he's dead now, so I'm in terrible trouble.
Travel news for beds, cards, and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 southbound, there's reports of a lane being blocked between junction 13 for Bedford and 12 for Flitwick. And on the M25, looking at speed sensors anti-clockwise, it's starting to look very slow from junction 21 for the M1 to junction 19 for Watford. Also looking very slow on the M25 junction 21A roundabout on the North Orbital Road. In Marston Mortain on the A421 eastbound, it's been closed because of an accident between Beancroft Road and the Marshleys roundabouts. Police are there redirecting traffic, and they say that most traffic should be able to use the old A421 instead. And in Dunstable and Chiltern Road, that's been closed in both directions between the High Street North and West Street because the trees fallen down there in the road. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. 6:46. It's Thursday, the 19th of February. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Milton Keynes councillors have been sent back to the drawing board after their budget plans were rejected last night. And David Cameron has criticised the Bedfordshire Police and Crime Commissioner for his plan to charge the public more for policing in the county. Coming up, we got BBC Introduce Him, we got Justin Dealey, but before that, here's the weather with Alina.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning to you, Iain. Dry start this morning, but much more cloud than we've seen on recent days, and that'll be thickening and building all the while, eventually bringing some outbreaks of rain across later on this morning and then through this afternoon. Patchy at first, but becoming more persistent and locally heavy later on this afternoon. Quite a wet end to the day. Strengthening southwesterly wind as well, so although temperatures getting up to around 7 or 8 Celsius, it will feel on the cool side. The rain only slowly clearing its way eastwards through the first part of the night, and then the latter half of the night becoming mainly dry, although we can't rule out 1 or 2 showers. Temperature shouldn't drop much lower than 4 or 5 Celsius. For tomorrow, a dry start. Again, once again, quite a bit of cloud around, and then through the afternoon, we are likely to see some rain pushing its way up from the south. There is some uncertainty as to the timings and the exact northern extent of that rain band, so try and keep an eye on the forecast over the next 24 hours if you can. But it looks like tomorrow afternoon will be wet once again. Highs tomorrow, 6 or 7 Celsius. That rain then clears, and then for Saturday, it's mainly dry but cold and windy. A few sunny spells around, but also the chance of 1 or 2 showers. But then it turns very wet and windy on Sunday. And Iain, that's your forecast.
Every weekday morning.
Let me get on with your consumer problems.
Should I expect it to last as a £350 TV or a £250 TV?
Jonathan Vernon Smith.
Have you gone back to the retailer? I went and spoke to the company that you'd paid the money to.
The JVS show fights for your rights and tackles your consumer problems.
So I emailed again and reminded them of the statutory rights, which I've heard in your programme.
If you need our help, email jvsshow@bbc.co.uk.
They've backed down and they have put in writing to me that I no longer owe the money.
And we could do the same for you.
That's fantastic news. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Your team is fantastic because you look after the people.
The JVS show, weekdays from 9 on BBC Three Counties Radio.
J-Dog?
Hey, geezer.
The call was sent out. You responded to the call immediately. You are a gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
And a legend.
Thank you very much.
And you made a lot of postmenopausal women very, very happy yesterday.
Good to hear that. Great feedback. Thank you.
And the menopause, good news, can last 12 years.
Excellent stuff. That's going to be great news.
Boss.
And of course, HRT gives you cancer. So,
bad news.
That's not looking. It doesn't. But it
might.
It might do. You're in a higher chance for everybody.
Deep here, guys. Very deep.
Well, Justin, you know what I discovered yesterday? I thought, you know what, the show's too flippant. The show's too frivolous. It's too flippant. It's too light. We need facts, not fictions, and less laughs. We've got too many laughs in the show, so I'm banning laughs.
Okay, all right.
But before we do that, Kelly Betts.
Hello.
BBC introducing. Listen, I know what it is. Catherine knows what it is.
I do, yeah.
Justin doesn't know what it is, so can you sell it to Justin's?
So Justin's, basically, Introducing is a show dedicated to the unsigned and upcoming music from the Three Counties, Justin's.
Right.
And if you upload your music to bbc.co.uk/introducing, if it's good, your options are endless. You could get played, Justin's, on Radio 1, Radio 2, 6 Music, Asian Network, 1 Extra. In fact, last year, Justin's, all the bands that I put forward for festivals all got selected, which meant some of our acts got played on Glastonbury.
So that's if it's good. If it's bad, we play it?
If it's bad, then nothing happens.
Thank you.
I was going to say, because my new tune, What's Your Flavour, brackets the remix, is due out next month.
It's funny that you say that, because I'm actually just downloading that song now.
My remix of that tune. So if I upload that, you're telling me that might get played on this programme?
Possibly,
That's great news.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
We have
a little snatch of it now, Just?
Yeah. What's your flavour? Tell me what's your flavour. Ooh.
Excellent stuff. Who have we got today, Kelly Betts?
Today we have Ollie Simpson. He's from St Albans. He's a singer-songwriter, and when you hear him, you think, who's this old 80-year-old man on my radio?
Yeah.
He's 22.
And he's done a song about a TV show he used to present, isn't he?
He's done a song called Rise.
He's very Carly. In fact, I look forward to listening to it.
I wish nothing ever changed. I'm still young, still afraid. I've been looking for someone else to blame. Guess I'm losing at my own game. 'Cause you bring me down, 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 but I'll rise above, above, above. I will
can see. Whoa, I can see. Whoa.
There's no way, Justin, that's a kid.
No, he sounds like somebody else. Who's that other guy? Kelly will know this. The guy from Hertfordshire who's got
Ezra.
that deep
George
voice.
Ezra.
George Ezra. He sounds like George Ezra.
He's not a kid. 22.
He's 22.
Is he? Blimey.
Wow, very deep.
Sorry?
Very deep.
He should still be playing on his bike. I don't know why he's so
He
sad.
sounds like that. That's amazing,
Well,
isn't
this
it?
song is happy.
Is
What?
it?
Hang on.
The music's sad.
Well, he's got.
He's positive. He's saying
He's got a voice on him, hasn't he?
bad things happen, but I'm going to rise above this.
Yeah, yeah.
Can't hold me down.
Okay, well, I mean, he's got some voice on. He's a boy, is he?
Yeah.
What's he going to sound like when he's a man? Is his voice doing a Benjamin Button? Is it? Makes you think, doesn't it, Just?
That's a good point.
Thank you very much,
I got
Justin.
that one.
Yeah,
Slightly
thank
late,
you.
Delay reaction, but I
No,
like
that's
it.
all right, mate. It don't matter. I'm, that's fine. That's all good stuff. Well, thank you, Kelly. What was his name? Craig David.
Ollie Simpson.
Ollie Simpson.
But this is Craig David.
What's your flavour?
Tell me what's your flavour.
What's your flavour? Tell me what's your flavour?
That's the one where he dressed up as Willy Wonka, right?
No, okay. I once interviewed Craig David, and he's a very nice guy. He was giving me love advice.
Oh, yeah?
He was giving me love advice.
Yeah.
He was. And he also told me that his flat at the time, this is when he was a big star, his flat at the time was connected to his phone, right? So if he was bringing a honey home... yeah, a honey, yeah, okay, because we can hear what you're saying, Catherine. Yeah. If he was bringing a honey home, right, and he was feeling, I don't know, randy,
Oh.
he would text his house... He would
No,
text his-
romantic.
well, all right, sexy. If he was feeling up for it, he'd text his house, up for it.
What?
I love this
This
guy.
is true. This is
Yeah.
true, right? And so his house would go, oh, Craig's up for it. I better get the house ready for love.
So he'd make love to his house?
No. What would then happen? The heating would go on, right? So that when they got home, the honey would want to take her clothes off.
Oh, yeah.
This is true. The sex music would go on,
Bow, chicka, bow, bow.
and the lights would go like sexy red or purple.
Oh.
But if he was,
dodgy club.
If he was coming home and he was on his own and he'd text the house lonely, and it would put on it would be more. The lights would be, I don't know, blue, and the telly would be on and it would show Cash in the Attic on the Sky Plus.
Oh.
VHS back in those days. If he had like 3 honeys coming home, he would text party.
Greedy.
Yeah, greedy, and it would. Do you know what I mean? The house would respond to his sexual needs.
That is unbelievable. So
It's
you
true.
you telling me that song he did, 7 Days, where he met a girl on...
Oh, he's just
on
reading his
Monday,
diary. Just
took
reading
a
his diary out.
Drink on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You know, what they were getting up to. That was based on a true story.
Yeah, and all different light fixtures.
Yeah. Seriously, honestly, such a nice bloke.
Sunday, big light on.
Yeah,
He's
'cause
chilling.
he's having a rest, isn't it? Get the books out. Yeah. Get the books. The house would deliver books to his bedside table. Craig David, all over your boing.
We should get him on.
I think he's busy.
Okay. In McDonald's, isn't it?
Oh, showbiz.
Showbiz.
Ouch.
What are we going to do with Justin?
I don't know. There's a woman who's found something in her garden.
Who killed
fossil.
Lucy? Who killed Lucy?
Oh,
no, we're not indulging
no.
It's the talk of the street
No.
this
It's not
morning.
talk of my
People are
street.
coming up to me
No.
telling me, who do you
No.
think killed Lucy?
No.
I don't.
No.
If
30
they,
years old today.
No.
do you know if they answered it, I wouldn't know because I don't watch it.
No.
What was number 1 on this day back in 1985, guys?
I don't think they're going to know the answer to that.
I knew him so well. I've just told you.
Was it? I know him so well.
Yeah.
Wasn't he good? Isn't it fine? Isn't it madness? He can't be mine. But in the end, we need a little bit more than me. More secure, he needs his fantasy and
freedom.
I know him so well.
Who sang that?
It was
Me and you just then, do you
Barbara
remember?
Dixon and
Elaine Page.
Two
Yes.
lovely mumsy hotties.
What is that? Somebody's found something in the back garden, you say?
Yeah.
Or
Fossil.
Old people having sex in the Telegraph. We've done that one, didn't we, recently?
Oh, that's a good one, that is.
We did it recently, but if you can put a new spin on this.
There's a thing about carers being told not to wake up elderly people for their own.
Well, they could wake them up for this. The golden age of sex for couples wed 50 years. They may be past their sexual prime, says the Telegraph, but it would be wrong to assume golden oldies become bored in the bedroom.
Oh.
Couples who've stayed together more than 50 years make love more than those who've had multiple partners in their lives.
In the Telegraph, you say?
Yes, boss.
Okay,
Proper story.
So if it's OK with you, I'm going to go to Dunstable on this one this
Today's
morning.
the day you're going to get punched. I can see it.
No. If you go out into the streets, especially Dunstable, it's going to be our new home come April.
That's what they tell us. It was February, then it was March.
If you put the question to them in a nice way, we should get a decent response this morning. I'm certainly hoping. So Dunstable, I'm coming for you this morning, talking about your personal lives.
Justin, ta-ra.
Cheers.
There we go. 08459 455 555 is the phone number.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 southbound, there's a lane closed between junction 13 for Bedford and 12 for Flitwick because of a breakdown. In Marston Mortain on the A421 eastbound, that's still closed between Beancroft Road and the A428 Marshall East roundabout because of an accident involving a car and a lorry. And in Dunstable and Chiltern Road, that's still closed in both directions between the High Street North and West Street because of trees falling down. Having a look at the speed sensors on the A404 in High Wycombe. That's got the roadworks at Marlow Road, but it's not causing any queues at the moment, but it could get busy later on. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Scoins is suggesting that Craig David would have texted day 5 to his house. What was he doing on day 5? Having it away or resting? There on a Monday?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Chilled on Sunday. So Thursday...
Monday?
Friday was day 5, right?
Right, can someone give us a call, please, and just tell us Craig David's weekly schedule, because I don't remember it that...
He met the girl on Monday, right?
Well, where would you meet a girl on Monday? Nowhere's open. Right, we'll talk about this after the news.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7 o'clock, I'm Barry Caffrey. The headlines: MK budget rejected, Beds PCC triggers referendum for higher council tax, and more say for parents of children with mental health problems.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A controversial Milton Keynes council budget, which was set to make £22 million of cuts, has been rejected by councillors. Both Conservative and Liberal Democrat councillors voted against the proposals from the Labour administration. Peter Marland is the council leader.
Of course you're disappointed, because what happens is you go through a whole period of consultation, you build a budget and you do what you think is best. And obviously in an overall control council tonight we've been told that's what other people don't think is best. And what we need to do, and what I said tonight, was people will understand that there are political differences. What they don't understand was there was no alternative presented.
The Prime Minister has criticised the Bedfordshire Police and Crime Commissioner for his plan to charge the public more for policing in the county. Labour PCC Ollie Martins has triggered a referendum by asking for a 16% increase in the police precept on council tax bills. But David Cameron says that's unnecessary.
The fact is, crime is falling. Full credit to the police, they've managed to do more with less. And I think there are further efficiencies that they can find, coordinating with other forces, making sure that they share some of the costs, and they should exhaust all those processes before putting taxpayers' bills up.
The Defence Secretary, Michael Fallon, has warned that the Russian President Vladimir Putin may seek to destabilise more former Soviet states such as Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. Mr Fallon said NATO must be ready to repel Russian aggression, whatever form it takes. A new study suggests the NHS in England is paying too much for new drugs and that patients and other treatments will lose out as a result. Researchers say the current system of calculating the worth of a drug is doing more harm than good. Parents of children with mental health problems in England are to get more say in how their child is cared for. A survey of parents has suggested major problems, including long delays and poor care. NHS England has now pledged to work with the charity Young Minds to improve the situation. Bedfordshire Police has closed down a suspected brothel in Luton. A 41-year-old man and a 30-year-old woman were arrested on suspicion of managing a brothel in Cowper Street and have been bailed to return to Luton Police Station on the 30th of March. And researchers at the University of Hertfordshire have developed a prototype of a social robot to help elderly people live independently. It can potentially help to prevent isolation and loneliness, as well as offering stimulating activities. Over the past 3 years, the project team successfully carried out a wide range of studies in the university's robot house. The weather forecast, most places will start dry and cloudy, but a band of rain will spread in from mid-morning onwards, with most parts ending the day wet. It will become windy too, highs today of 8 Celsius. Those are the headlines. I'm back with more at 7:30.
Isn't it? Morning team, Iain Lee, BBC Three Counties Radio. What exactly did Craig David get up to in his week of love? Let's find out.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Iain knows the answer. Morning, Iain.
Hello, Iain. How you doing?
I'm all right, thank you. Craig David used to be the big I Am. He had a very busy week. What exactly was Craig David's week?
Well, he met a girl on Monday.
Yep.
He took her for a drink on Tuesday.
Yep.
And then he made love with her on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. And then chilled on Sunday.
You'd have to chill on Sunday after that, wouldn't you?
You'd need a rest.
I'd have to chill for the rest of the month.
That's right. Busy week, busy man.
Is it fair to say that Craig David's promising pop career was killed by who was that avid Marion? Lee. What?
That's an awful impression, but yeah.
Bo Selector.
And Kez, the Kestrel on his shoulder.
Well, no, did that? Obviously, his pop career would have ended at some point anyway. But did that sped things up, didn't it?
Yeah, but it wasn't that good, was he? He did that song and he did Flavour, and that was the only two.
He did another song.
Craig David all over your oink.
Rewind. When the book says Bowl Selector. There we go. Iain, I'm going to let you go because the line's not great.
That was him with the Artful Dodger. That was the first one, wasn't it?
When the crowd say Bowl Selector. I tell you what I was watching. I've been watching Frank's fantastic show, Shed Show, right? It's a TV series he had in the late 90s. And
Frank Sidebottom.
Frank Sidebottom. It's brilliant, right? It's a mess and it's brilliant because it's a mess. And you've got all these long-forgotten pop bands on there. Oceanic are on there. Is there a band called London Knights? Not the London Boys.
They sang London Knights.
They're called London Knights or something, and they're awful. But this bald fella comes on with like a tiny little unicorn horn on his head, right? And he comes in and sits in. Right?
What, stuck on, or one of those ones underneath his skin?
No, a little hair unicorn thing, right? And he comes on and he gets a big round of applause. I'm thinking, who the hell is this? It's Adamski. It was Adamski. And I thought, I've got no idea. Is Adamski still alive? Is he still... He was like the British Moby.
He was, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't he do Killer?
Never gonna survive. He did do Killer.
That one.
But, of course, he was the British Moby. Moby, of course, the greatest musical thief of all time. All he did was just steal other people's songs, didn't he, Moby?
Moby. He's made a lot of money out of adverts.
He made a lot of money out of stealing music.
He doesn't eat meat.
Yeah, that'll explain
That's
it.
some Moby facts for you.
Thanks, Catherine. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Enjoying the musical memories there, Scoins?
Great times.
Adamski, Craig David, Oceanic, possibly a band called London Knights, we're not sure.
I do. I've had an Adamski record. I saw Moby at Glastonbury once.
Yeah? Did you speak to him?
No.
Why not? You had an argument with him? You falling out with Moby? What's your beef? Did he steal one of your songs?
He stole my heart.
Well, that happens. Now, Milton Keynes councillors had its budget thrown out by opposition councillors. Excuse me. Local homeless shelters had faced possible closure after the Labour leaders of the council set out £22 million of savings. Now, that may still happen as the party leaders will now go back and negotiate a new budget. Paul, you were there last night. You were tweeting in the third person. What happened?
Well, this was a budget which was designed to save £22 million, as you say, and unfortunately, for the council at least, it's not gone through. So they now have to go back to the table and try and do some more sort of behind-the-scenes negotiations to try and get it through. And I think the reason it didn't go through is because I've not seen a turnout at Milton Keynes Council quite as high in terms of the public gallery. It was rammed.
I saw the pictures. It was packed, wasn't it?
Absolutely packed. And, there were 19 people down to talk at a meeting, and that's unusual. Usually Milton Keynes Council meetings, I think it's fair to say, are attended by one man and his dog, quite literally in some cases, but it's just very quiet. They do go on, though. They really go on, Milton Keynes Council. It finished last night at 11 o'clock.
Okay.
And I think the strength of feeling from within the audience was that the number of people who perhaps were from a vulnerable sector of community were going to be, they say, unduly affected. So we had cuts like £260,000 to go from the Citizens Advice Bureau, £798,000 to go from homeless shelters, which charity said would result in the closure of several homes, which could mean young people going homeless this summer.
They have to save £22 million somehow, don't they? Have to. They haven't got that money.
No, and it's in a total project spending of about £90 million that they've got to save. So, they are up against it, like every single council. And just yesterday, there was a report from a local government finance group which said that councils are on a cliff edge when it comes to saving, vulnerable people in terms of the money it's costing. However, yes, it was voted down. Both the Lib Dems...
The Lib Dems and the Tories voted it down. Is that a little bit of politicking? Because I'm highly suspicious. Now we're coming to a general election. I'm suspicious of everybody's motives in these things. Is it a little bit of a Yabu sucks to Labour? Because the Lib Dems and the Tories, they would have to make these cuts if they were in power, wouldn't they?
You're absolutely right. And I think you're probably in the right ballpark when it comes to, is it a bit of Yabu? Absolutely. What you'll hear from now is the two opposition leaders, but you're absolutely right. I think there is an element of, that they have to make these savings too. I asked at the meeting afterwards, well, you'd have had to make these savings too. This is what the Lib Dem leader Douglas McCall and the Tory deputy leader Andrew Geary said to me.
I think it was inevitable because the Labour administration just took such an arrogant approach and refused to listen to the public and organisations which attended various meetings, but they haven't engaged with the opposition parties.
Not only does it penalise the most vulnerable, and others as well, those who are the lifeblood of the city, but it's not a deliverable budget in terms of the way it's built, the way it's structured and the way it was planned to be delivered, because I don't think there is a plan. I think they're wading around in a haze of fog.
Now, the leader of the Tories, Edith Bald, gave a nice snappy line saying that the council was preparing the prospect of driverless cars, but it was also facing the prospect of a driverless council. But what she was then saying is that the council could have made savings in some of its back office. There was a lot of sick pay, for example, but the leader of the council, an understandably disappointed Peter Marlin from the Labour Party, said that they're already working hard to make those savings in the back office.
Senior management costs have fallen and the overall pay bill will be going down by £3.4 million this year. So we are looking at our own house. We are keeping our house in order. But ultimately, you can't find £22 million worth of savings by taking out 3 managers or 4 managers. It's a bigger task than that, and it's a much more fundamental task than that, and people have got to face up to that rather than putting out some of these false narratives.
There were protests before the meeting, were there?
Yeah, I can't imagine it's ever comfortable for a council leader to walk past a troop of scouts aged 10 and 11 kind of campaigning against cuts outside your council meeting. But that's what they had to do yesterday. There were also people from...
Scouts, you say?
Scouts.
Okay.
People from outside the sort of anti-cuts groups, and people from the homeless shelters. We heard earlier on from a man who had been helped in one of the city's homeless shelters.
Let's speak to Hugh Wright now, who lives at one of the places in Bletchley that could be under threat. The Orbit Housing Association's got places in Fishermead and Bletchley. Morning, Hugh.
Good morning, Ian.
What's your reaction to the decision last night?
To be quite honest, I'm pleased that decision was made because it gives us a little bit of respite. It's now, what are they going to do next?
Well, and that's it. It isn't a decision, is it? There's not really been a decision. It's just kind of you have to come back in a week or so and give us some more ideas. Are you optimistic that do you think this could be a permanent reversal, or do you think it's just buying you a bit of time?
At the moment, I think it's probably just going to be buying us a bit of time, although I'd like to hope that it'll be more of a permanent reversal.
Ahead of last night's meeting, the council met up with residents at the shelter. I'm assuming you were there. What was said?
Basically, in my opinion, when we turned up for the meeting, the council seemed very unprepared for the sort of questions we were asking. One of the questions was, well, if you're going to make the cuts, what provisions are you going to put in place to help us? We didn't even get a response. All we got told is, oh, well, we're talking with Orbit. And that was it.
When we spoke to a member of the council last week, they said that unless the residents had problems with health or drug issues, they weren't responsible for finding them somewhere to live.
Yes, yeah, but basically they were still echoing that. They were basically saying that everything's going to be done on an individual basis if you fit the criteria. For the council.
They talked about that some people in the hostels or have come from prison backgrounds, and it's up to the probation service to help them find residencies. If that's the case, that it's not the council's responsibility, then surely it's right that they shouldn't pay for it.
To an extent, yes, but it's also to do with the social welfare. So if people are coming out of prison, probation normally find them somewhere to go, such as places like Orbit and the YMCA. So it's a double-edged sword, really, isn't it, in that sense?
It's a tough decision, and I wouldn't want to be having to make these cuts. If they didn't cut the funding to Orbit and other homeless shelters, Hugh, where would you suggest they do make cuts?
Oh, crikey.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. I have absolutely no idea. I mean, I'm not sort of been that way inclined at all. I understand they have to make cuts. I just rather it just wasn't to do with the homeless situation of vulnerable people in Milton Keynes.
What's the mood like in there at the moment, Hugh?
Very, very subdued yesterday. I don't know if people are listening at the moment, but no one actually knows, apart from people that might be listening, what's actually happened. So hopefully the mood will pick up a little bit and, we can actually maybe put ideas forward ourselves to what we think could be a good solution if they have to make these cuts.
Hugh, it's good to talk to you. I guess we'll speak again soon, and let us know what happens, won't you?
Yeah, absolutely no problems.
Thank you very much indeed. When do they have to come up with a new alternative plan, the council?
Well, I've been told by the leader that he is going to meet the other leaders on Friday. They've got to come back again on Wednesday and hopefully put something together. If, of course, they can't, then the government will step in and do it for them.
Well, so what does that mean? The government step in? What, they come in and David Cameron sorts it out?
Eric Pickles.
He comes in and sorts it out,
will come in and sort it out.
And what he says will go?
He'll probably set a budget for them, and it will either freeze it or, the most they could do is to put it up by the by the maximum amount you can raise at the moment, which is about 1.9%. But what's worth knowing is that, all councils are facing similar problems. They are all having to do more with a lot less. The government grant has gone down, and councils have, as Hugh suggested there, picked up the pieces from various other areas in the past. And it's now clear, we're being told this by councils of all persuasions, not just, Labour or Lib Dem councils. Some Conservatives are saying the same. We can only do what we legally have to do. So they're at a situation now, it's been talked about for years, but we're approaching that zone with the local government association talk about, we're at the cliff. We've reached the point where, the stuff that we're having to do legally is costing us so much money, we can't do anything else.
My sixth form politics, which are not very well formed out, it just strikes me as odd that we're talking about 36 people getting kicked out of a homeless shelter the day after nothing's happening to people at HSBC. It just seems that priorities perhaps are not as clear as they should be.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 towards London, it's looking very slow from junction 9 for Redbourne, but it's cleared up now on the M1 southbound between junction 13 for Bedford and 12 for Flitwick. That's all starting to move again now after the breakdown closed a lane earlier. On the M25 anti-clockwise, that's looking quite slow between junction 20 for Kings Langley and 16 for the M40. Then Marston Mortain on the A421 eastbound, that's now reopened after the accident between Beancraft Road and the Marshleys roundabout. Also in Dunstable and Chiltern Road, the road was closed between the High Street North and West Street because a tree had fallen down, but that's now been removed and it's all up and running again. On the train departure board, so the 716 service from Bedford to Sevenoaks calling through Luton at 7:40 is delayed. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Samantha. 7:17. It's Thursday, the 19th of February. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A controversial Milton Keynes council budget, which was set to make £22 million of cuts, has been rejected by councillors. And a new study suggests the NHS is paying too much for new drugs, leaving less money to cover the cost of other treatments.
BBC Three Counties Radio. If you've missed any of the programmes here on BBC Three Counties Radio, you've missed things like this.
Do we really need public libraries anymore? Tell us what you think this morning.
Get behind your local station and help crack these clues. Let's see who can find the treasure first.
But there is a way you can hear it all again.
What a show today. We go back to the 70s for our chart rundown.
So when did you start making music?
About 2 years ago, I started recording on my brother's 8-track.
bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio.
You held a service in a vodka bar this week, is that right?
The OJ's Extraordinary Girl. Isn't that a terrific sound? Completing the menu today, a lovely coq au vin and rhubarb and custard on toast topped with a meringue.
I don't want anyone messing with my brain if they don't understand how it works.
Last year, the IPCC dropped an investigation into your conduct.
Black and minority students must get better results than their white peers in order to get into university.
bbc.co.uk/Three Counties Radio.
Come on, Peter.
Hello.
Am I the only person who still sniggers when I hear coq au vin? Yeah?
I'm not saying.
But you're not saying, but you think it, don't you?
Yeah, I think Tatty Mac too.
Sorry?
I think Tatty Mac too.
Let me just Mac too. I think it's a DVD.
Oh, okay, right. Peter, what would you like to have a whinge about today, my friend?
I was just going to ask you if you could ask the question.
Yep.
On Milton Keynes.
On Milton Keynes.
They're in dire situation with regard to homeless and that sort of thing, and people in desperate plight. How many families have they accepted from London? Because places like Luton and other places like that, which are in dire straits in housing, have been accepting families from London.
Yeah.
And that just makes the situation much, much worse. So I just wonder how many families from London that Milton Keynes have accepted.
I don't know. Let me ask Catherine. Catherine, how many families of Milton Keynes accepted from London?
If you're from London, call me now. 08459 455 555.
Let me narrow that. If you're from London and you've moved to Milton Keynes.
No, because he also mentioned Luton. I think we should broaden it out. If you're from London, call me now.
And you're living in Milton Keynes and Luton, call me now. Shall we wait, Peter?
Well, that sounds fair enough, Ian, and I hope you get a reply on it.
But if we don't get a reply...
They might not be on the phone.
Well, that might mean...
No, I certainly know you would get a reply, should get a reply from Luton. I know that for a fact.
Peter, say hello to line 3.
Hello, line 3.
Hello, Peter.
And who's speaking, please?
It's Paul.
Oh, hello, Paul. Hello, Paul.
Don't mind doing this on a phone. I'm literally
he's having a coffee break, probably.
Well, I am, yeah.
Beg one?
Pardon?
Ian's probably having a coffee break.
Yeah,
I would have thought.
Probably, yeah. You had a question, Peter.
Have I got a question?
Yeah, no, you had a question.
Yes, indeed.
What was that question?
That question was, I asked how many families from London, homeless families, have been moved out to Milton Keynes in recent times, because there's so many families been moved out so far, Luton and other places, that if you've got a dire situation with housing people, you only make the situation worse in those areas too.
Well, of course, one of the big problems has been that they've moved a lot of families from Luton over to Milton Keynes as families have come up from London to Milton. And that has happened in Milton Keynes too. I can't give you a specific number. I think those figures are available, but off the top of my head, I don't know. But I know there's a number. I know that's happened.
I know. Well, that just makes a dire situation worse. What you're not doing is solving the situation. What you're turning...
Et je me retiens. Je t'aime, oui, je t'aime.
And that's how we're dealing with the tough issues, by thumbing our nose at them.
So if you are from London
Oh, we're
and you
still
live
doing
in
that.
either Luton, Milton Keynes or anywhere else, 08459 4555 double cinq.
On FM, AM, online and digital radio.
This is Iain Lee.
On BBC Three Counties Radio.
Bedfordshire's police commissioner has officially triggered a referendum for a bigger slice of the council tax after writing to local authorities. Ollie Martins wants to raise his share of the pot by almost 16%. The whole referendum is costing £350,000 and it could rise to £600,000 if he loses, which at one of the polls he has, what's the word? Not endorsed, commissioned, thank you, suggests is entirely possible. We can speak now to Andy Sylvester, the campaign director at the Taxpayers Alliance. Morning, Andy.
Good morning.
Good use of taxpayers' money or bad use?
It's a hard one to call, to be honest with you. You can't put a price on democracy, of course you can't. But I do think we have to find ways to make these sort of referenda cheaper. Now, it's good that it's being held on May the 7th, so at the same time as general elections, so we don't have to, open up, close schools again on a separate day. But we have to think of more innovative ways to do this, like e-voting and various things like that. To try and
Why is everyone so reluctant to endorse e-voting? That seems obvious to me. It's 2015.
I mean, there are concerns about fraud, and I think there's probably, there has been legitimate case past where maybe we can make arguments about that, but I think security has improved to the point now where we can look at that as a serious option. Going back to the wider picture, of course, about the use of taxpayers' money, he's hoping for more of it, which we certainly don't approve of. I think if the police force wants more money, it needs to talk to local authorities and work out ways to maximise the amount that goes into frontline policing from existing budgets, rather than at a time when people still aren't feeling necessarily the effects of the economic recovery that the Chancellor is so keen to tell us about, rather than putting the price on the backs of hard-working taxpayers.
Well, Ollie Martins, the PCC, would possibly argue that they've made all the cuts they can make. In fact, he has argued this. They've made all the cuts they can make and still keeping public safety at a certain level. They have to make more cuts, and once you go beyond those cuts, then public safety could be brought into question. That's why he needs more money, he would say.
Well, exactly. He would say that. I've got no doubt. We hear that from a lot of councils across the country. But let's look at the facts here. Every year we've heard, whenever there's a new settlement from central government around funding, we've heard apocalyptic warnings from local government and from police forces that everything we know is about to fall apart. And yet, being forced to make the savings, they've found the savings. They've thought innovatively about ways where they can, for instance, merge back office functions, neighbouring forces. We've heard ways that they've endorsed outsourcing when it comes to things like prison or between different prisons and police stations, areas that we can make savings in that previously were sacred cows. It just was the way you were doing things.
But there has to be a threshold, doesn't there, Andy? There has to be a point where you can't make any more cuts without bringing safety into question.
There absolutely is a point, but I don't think we're there yet, and I don't think any of the forces are there yet. That's why this referendum is extremely rare, and most other forces across the country have made peace with the fact that when we're £1 trillion in debt as a nation, that we're still running a £90 billion deficit, the imperative is on them to find savings rather than ask taxpayers to stump up even more when money remains so tight for so many people.
Do you think Ollie Martins is up to the job, Andy? If he can't make if he can't make these cuts without asking for more money, do you think he's able to do it?
That's not for me to say. That'll be for voters to decide. I can't imagine they're going to be too thrilled by being asked for more money, and I would be surprised if people did vote for the tax increase. Ultimately, he'll be judged by voters on whether he's delivering a safer area, forces doing the job that people expect, and that means, as it means right across the country, all resources on frontline policing and working with local community groups and with local authorities in order to reduce the amount of paperwork and administration and frontline kind of the everyday boring work of police force, and keep cracking down on crime rather than sitting around offices pushing pens around.
Andy, I appreciate your time. I'm going to let you go because the line keeps dropping in and out, but we got your point. Andy Sylvester, Campaign Director at the Taxpayers Alliance, 08459, etc, etc, etc. Have we got any texts?
We have. Stu in Bedford, can you say February again? So really cutting to the heart of the issues of the morning.
No, I'm not a monkey.
Well.
Sorry?
And someone said, don't say my name, but my son has a teacher called Mrs. Shatford. Don't know why, but it makes me laugh.
It's my kind of listener.
And...
We had Mr. Cocker.
Did you?
Yeah. Who lost all credibility when we saw him at a Christian rock concert. Don't ask what I was doing there.
I think I know what you were doing there.
I was tricked to go there.
Were you?
Yeah, I was tricked by a friend. He said, we're going to go to a concert. Yeah,
it's going to be
wicked.
really cool.
Yeah. Then it was a Christian. I thought all these songs are... Oh, they're all about God. And then they stopped in a bit. They stopped halfway through and then they started talking about God. Oh, flipping it. And then they wanted people to who hadn't been saved to come up and be saved. Oh, flipping it.
So if you replace God with environmental issues, that was a Santana concert my parents attended once.
Oy,
yeah, they left.
Santana.
I mean, they left. I know those solos are long, but they're even longer when he's banging on about the world.
Oh, flipping it. You know what? Why don't you just sing songs about... having it away, driving fast cars and surfing. Come on, guys.
No, having it away, not having it away, driving fast cars and surfing.
Yeah, and broken hearts.
Yeah.
And maybe the odd song about your mum. I like songs about mums. Here we go. Let's get the top 10 list of songs about mums. Okay. 08459 455 555. At number 10.
La 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 Mamba. Is that about...
She's not playing. If that's the attitude, she's not playing. Tell her.
You're not playing.
Oh.
Mother... No, I tell you, we won't have that. We'll have Julia by the Beatles. There we go.
That was about his mum, was it?
Yeah.
All right.
Julia. We won't have Mother because that's a bit miserable, but unless we can't get 9 others.
I don't really want to put Mama by the Spice Girls.
Oh, number 9, that's a great one. Mama, I love you. The video had their mums in. That was sweet, man.
Used to be my only enemy.
Stevie
Never
Wonder.
let me be free.
Here we go, go on.
I think it's called Mama or something. You know how it goes.
That's not a good enough entry, is it?
No, hang on.
I got one.
Don't you worry about a thing. That one.
Pretty Mama.
That's not about Mama. That's Street Slag.
Hot woman.
Still.
Richard Blackwood. And Mama used to say, take your time, young man.
Mama said there'd be days like this, there'd be days like this.
We're doing their job for them. We're doing their job for them.
Well, we've done it now, haven't we?
Well, we've got... Hang on a minute. Well, I've only written down 3 because I can't write very far. 08459 455 5. We'll get Dealey on this as well. The top 10 songs about mums.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 towards London, looking at the cameras around Junction 9 for Redbourne, it's starting to look very busy there, and it's also building up on the A5 southbound from Lynch Hill towards the M1 Junction 9 for Redbourne. On the M25 anti-clockwise, it's slow from Junction 20 for Kings Langley to 16 for the M40, and it's also looking very busy around the M25 Junction 21A roundabout on the A405 North Orbital Road. On the A1 Great North Road from the St Neots Junction towards the Black Cat roundabout, that's very slow now through the roadworks, but on the A421 in Marston Mortain eastbound, that's now reopened between Beancroft Road and the Marshalleys roundabout. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 7:30 with the headlines. I'm Barry Caffrey. A controversial Milton Keynes Council budget, which was set to make £22 million worth of cuts, has been rejected by councillors. Both Conservative and Liberal Democrat councillors voted against the proposals from the Labour administration. The Prime Minister has criticised the Bedfordshire Police and Crime Commissioner for his plan to charge the public more for policing in the county. Labour PCC Ollie Martins has triggered a referendum by asking for a 16% increase in the police precept on council tax bills. A new study suggests the NHS in England is paying too much for new drugs and that patients on other treatments will lose out as a result. Researchers say the current system of calculating the worth of a drug is doing more harm than good. Bedfordshire Police has closed down a suspected brothel in Luton. A 41-year-old man and a 30-year-old woman were arrested on suspicion of managing a brothel in Cowper Street and have been bailed to return to Luton Police Station on the 30th of March. The weather forecast: most places will start dry and cloudy, but a band of rain will spread in from mid-morning onwards, with most parts ending the day wet. It will become quite windy too, with highs of 8 Celsius, that's 46 in Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
England's women have won their first 2020 international against New Zealand by 8 wickets. The BBC's Henry Moran reports.
After what they conceded was a disappointing start to the tour, England's women fought back in the best way possible here in Whangarei. It was as convincing a T20 victory as you can imagine. Asked to field, they reduced New Zealand to 18 for 6 before the White Ferns eventually struggled to 60 all out in the 20th over. As she has done all tour, Heather Knight once again starred with the ball. Her off-spin claimed 3 Kiwi wickets. The run chase was fairly straightforward. Just 2 wickets fell as England chased that small target of 61. They reached it in the 12th over. Captain Charlotte Edwards leading from the front with an excellent 32 not out. The perfect tonic to a tricky start to the tour in New Zealand, and England will be looking to do it all again tomorrow in the second T20.
Former England bowler Graeme Swann says Paul Collingwood should be coaching England and not Scotland. Collingwood, who was part of the England setup for the World 2020 last year, is now coaching Scotland at the World Cup. England play Scotland in Pool A on Sunday. England fly half Danny Cipriani has ended speculation about his future by signing a new 2-year contract at Premiership side Sale. Cipriani, who scored for England against Italy in his first Six Nations game since 2008 on Saturday, had been linked with a move to French side Toulon. In the Champions League, Cristiano Ronaldo was on the score sheet as Real Madrid won 2-0 at Schalke in the first leg of their last 16 tie. Elsewhere, Basel and Porto played out a 1-1 draw in Switzerland. The knockout stage of the Europa League gets underway tonight with 4 British teams in action. Tottenham begin a run of 6 matches over the next 17 days when they host Fiorentina in the first leg of their last 32 tie. Liverpool are at home against Besiktas. The Turkish side are set to include striker Demba Ba, whose goal for Chelsea at Anfield last season arguably ruined Liverpool's quest for a first Premier League title. BBC Three Counties Radio News and Sport. I'm back with a full bulletin at 8.
There's a voice that keeps on calling me. Down the road, it's where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on. Down this road that never seems to end. When new adventure lies just around the bend. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's hobo style. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, the whole world is my home. So if you wanna join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's hobo style. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on. Just keep moving on. There's a world that's waiting to unfold. A brand new tale no one has ever told. We've journeyed far, but you know it won't be long. We're almost there and we paid our fare with a hobo song. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow I'll just keep moving on. So if you join me for a while, just grab your hat, come travel light, that's hobo style. Maybe tomorrow I'll find what I call home. Until tomorrow, you know I'm free to roll.
So, we're... Well, getting a bit of a coffee headache.
Well, stop drinking.
Sorry,
it.
mate.
No, I need more. I need to ride it out.
Wow, this really is rock and roll.
What are we talking about?
Craig David, whether the dating schedule that he set is workable.
Yep.
David says, and not Craig David, but David on the Twitter, far too busy for my liking and way too overconfident. He also forgot to mention he took his nan out on Sunday.
Yeah, you see. We're doing mum songs. We're also, I don't remember why we were mentioning funny names, but there's by coincidence, there's a list of funny names in the Daily Mirror.
Is
We're
there?
so ahead of ourselves.
Aren't we?
It's today's news. Today.
So there was a mayor in Fort Wayne, Indiana, in the 1950s in America. His
Can
name?
you say it?
Yeah. Harry Balls. And his slogan was...
No.
His slogan was, I'm proud of my Harry Balls.
No, it's...
That was his slogan!
Stop it!
That's amazing. What else?
I've peaked too early. That's the best one. What else have we got here? Kim, you suck.
Well, I told you about Lick Men that I used to know. She used to get some very rude messages on her pinboard.
She was a girl?
Yeah. Very tiny Chinese girl, very delicate flower. She was beautiful and quiet and so timid. And the sort of messages, honestly, they would make your hair curl.
There's Hitler Mussolini.
Double-barrelled, or is that first and second
That's
name?
first and second.
Fair
He was
parents.
the state head of the police in Brazil.
Oh.
Batman being Superman. That's just ridiculous.
That's just, yeah.
Windsor Castle. Flipping it. Come on. Right, so that Robert and Martha Gouldstone christened their baby one too many. One too many Gouldstone. Why would you do that?
Some parents just don't like their kids, do they?
And, of course, Nicholas, unless Jesus Christ had died for thee, thou hadst been damned, Barban. There's a middle name, David. There certainly is. David, what have you got for us?
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, I didn't know that I was actually there.
Well, you phoned up. You did phone up the radio, didn't you, David? Did you
Yeah,
not?
no, I did.
You knew
I
that
did.
at
I've
some
been
point
listening
it was coming.
I've been listening to the phone call, the radio station through the phone call for about 5 minutes.
Oh,
how are you anyway?
Yeah, fine, David. Blimey.
Very good.
Yes. Do you want to register an official complaint?
No, I'd like to register a song for mums.
Oh, there you go. Mum songs.
Yes. I would like to register Aloe Black's Mama Hold My Hand.
Who?
Aloe Black.
Yeah.
Aloe Blacks?
I Need a Dollar Man.
Oh, right, yeah. What's his mum song?
It's Mama Hold My Hand. And if you can listen to that song all the way through without crying, there's something wrong with you.
So it's about an actual mama, because sometimes these rock and roll types say mama when they just mean lady, baby and all that stuff.
No, this is about a child that gets older and, their interaction with the mum throughout the entire life to death sort of thing.
Oh, no.
Hey.
It's a really good song.
David, well, listen, you've said we're having two top tens running simultaneously then. Songs about mums and songs what do make you cry.
I've got one.
Go on.
Slipping Through My Fingers by ABBA. Have you heard that?
No, mate, I'm not going to cry an ABBA song.
No, you are.
No, I'm not.
Anyone who's got little children.
Oh,
my God.
Is it about a child dying?
No, it's about how they are growing up before your eyes and
can't
every
wait for it.
second they're moving away from you.
Can't wait for it. Then can they move out of the house?
Oh, no, it's so sad.
David, thank you for that. You wouldn't cry an ABBA song.
Oh, I did. And I wasn't pregnant either. I did cry all the way through a Celine Dion concert. I don't know why I was watching it. I do know why I was watching it. I was pregnant. And I couldn't sleep. And I cried all the way through that. But that was definitely just the hormones.
Time of No Reply by Nick Drake. And, do you know what? That's a cliche, isn't it? But that Luther Vandross song about his dad, that makes me...
Dancing with My Father.
Yeah, that makes me a little bit... And I can't listen to Hello Again by Neil Diamond because that was at my dad's funeral. We chose that as a music to carry the coffin in. Flipping it. Nice one. Ruined a song for myself there,
Exactly,
idiot.
and this is the thing, right? I often think, this is the song I want played at my funeral. And then I'll think, but that's going to ruin that song for everyone else forever.
Yeah, well...
I've never seen a father and son slow dance, though.
No, well, no, but, you know, I wish I'd done it with my dad. That's the thing, isn't it? You know, I wish... there's nothing, you know, weird about it, and I wish I'd done it. My funeral, and we're not doing funeral songs because that's lazy, but my funeral, everyone's going to be walking in. They're going to have this.
Stop it. Stop it.
Why will you be crying?
Well, because I won't be dead. I'll be in the coffin going, let me out! And my family will hate me so much.
That's all right, you'll have your phone on.
Richard's on the line. Morning, Richard.
Morning, Ian.
What you got for us, boss?
And I've got a name for you. A friend of mine, their surname is Swallow.
Oh, hang on, finger on the fader.
First name's not Dickie, is it?
No, it's not. But they had a son, and they were going to call it Bobby James.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Thank
Kelly?
you.
Yeah.
That was an obvious one.
No,
Carpet Martin, songs that make me cry. Mumbo number 5. Bronx Mowgli.
Sorry? That's her name, is it?
Yep. Philip Mignon.
I've got friends called Freeman. And one day Nick turned to Lee and said, I think it might be quite nice to call him Morgan.
Why?
Morgan Freeman.
Oh, flipping it.
Really bad idea.
No name will ever be as good as Harry Balls. Do you get it?
There was that... we used to know Mrs. Taylor, Jenny.
Yeah, well, I know a Jenny Taylor. And we all know I know a Wayne whose last name is King. Fact. So, we got 4 songs in the top 10 of songs about mums. Julia by the Beatles, Mama by the Spice Girls, Mama Used to Say by Richard Blackwood, Mama Hold My Hand. Who's the name of the gentleman that sang that?
Aloe Black.
Is that a man's name?
Yeah.
Oh, incredible, isn't it, these pop stars?
And Mama said...
What did she say? What?
Mama said there'd be days like this.
Mama said there'd be days like this.
There'll be days like this.
Who's that by? Motown?
The Shirelles. So, yeah.
Shirelle is. That's not Motown.
That's Spectre, isn't it? Okay, great bands. Any texts? I mean, we're kind of bouncing along, and I'm happy to bounce along. We can't give
Today
them.
might be a bouncer.
We can't give them fireworks every single day. Jeez, what do you expect?
Stu says Hugh Pratt was a teacher of mine. Hugh Pratt.
Coops, I don't believe yours, so I'm not reading them out. We're not just doing funny names that you've made up.
Or separated swear words.
No, we're not. I'm not. No. 08459 455 555 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. We're still giving away Dad's ages as well. 76 is up for grabs, 38 is up for grabs, as is 42.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's very busy on the M1 southbound towards Junction 9 for Redbourne, and that's also looking slow on the A5 southbound from Lynch Hill towards the M1 Junction 9 for Redbourne. Looking at the M25 anti-clockwise on the cameras, it's very busy from Junction 20 for Kings Langley to 16 for the M40, and further afield on the M11 southbound, that's very slow because of an accident between Junction 7 for Harlow and 6 for the M25. Looking at the A1 Great North Road on the speed sensors, that's very slow southbound from the St Neots Junction towards the Black Cat roundabout through the roadworks. Samantha Burrough, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yes, Sammy! 7:45 exactly. It is Thursday, the 19th of February. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Milton Keynes Council has had its budget thrown out by opposition councillors. Party leaders will now go back and negotiate a new one. And the Prime Minister has criticised the Bedfordshire Police and Crime Commissioner for his plan to charge the public more for policing in the county. Let's get the weather. Here's Alina.
Beds, hearts and bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Morning, Ian. Cloudier start to the day, and there'll be some outbreaks of rain coming down from the northwest in the next few hours. Patchy at first, but becoming more persistent as the day wears on. Could be some heavier spells through the afternoon. Strengthening southwesterly wind will make it feel quite blustery as well, so we'll see highs of 7 or 8 Celsius today, down a couple of degrees on what we've seen on recent days. The rain is very slow moving, so it will take its time to clear through the first part of the night, but eventually through the latter half of the part of the night it will become drier, with perhaps just 1 or 2 showers following on behind. Lows overnight of around around 4 Celsius. And a dry start to the day tomorrow, quite cloudy though through the morning. And it looks like we could well see some outbreaks of rain moving in from the south through the afternoon, but a little bit of uncertainty as to the northern extent of that band of rain. So try and keep an eye on the forecast if you can, so we can update you as we know more. Highs tomorrow, 7 or 8 Celsius. Any rain that we do see tomorrow will clear away, and Saturday looks to be a bright but windy day, feeling quite cold in a brisk northwesterly wind. Just 1 or 2 showers, but most places will be dry. But on Sunday, it looks to turn very wet and windy again. And Iain, that's your forecast.
They can sign up to the armed forces, but can't control who decides on defence policy.
You expect to do all of these adult things, so why can't you vote as an adult as well?
16-year-olds seem to understand politics, but should they have a say in the future of the country?
At the age of 16, you're mature, you're making adult decisions, and there's so much else to it in life.
Tomorrow morning, I'll be joined by 2 16-year-olds to debate whether they think the voting age should be lowered.
Yes, I would vote if the age is lowered, as I feel it is important to take part in a democracy that could lead to large changes within the country.
We'll hear both sides of the argument and hopefully come to a conclusion.
You don't wake up suddenly at the age of 18 and understand the government, understand political parties, understand the world.
Listen to it all and have your say tomorrow morning from 9 here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Colin's in Dunstable. Good morning, Colin.
Good morning, sir.
Great to talk to you. Let me just throw this out there, because JVS is talking about it tomorrow. Let's just get the vibe. Do you think 16-year-olds should be allowed to vote?
On balance, no.
Okay, JVS, you don't need to do the show anymore, JVS. We've got the answer. No.
But thank you for reminding us that we need to remind people about what might be the last ever open door policy.
Oh, yeah, flippin' heck, Colin.
What?
Sorry?
Pardon?
I beg your pudding.
Pardon?
Baking
I heard
powder.
that.
Excuse me. Now, yes, so we do this thing on a Friday where
yeah.
Anyone can turn up.
Yes, I know. Sorry. I wasn't sure what you were on about.
All right, well, we do it between 7:30 and 8 o'clock. Anyone can turn up.
Yeah, I know.
Tomorrow might be the last one.
Why?
Well, we just we don't know if people are bothered enough.
I don't think it's... sorry?
I think you should continue
Why?
it, because I think it's a good thing.
Why? I don't know if it makes interesting radio. That's what it boils down to. I don't...
Well, I think it does. You've had some fantastic people on there.
Yeah, I know.
You know, walk in.
Yeah, walk in.
But we haven't had enough random walks in. We've had a lot of kind of people who have got an agenda, and that's fine.
And everybody that's come in has been fantastic. This isn't down to any specific people. It's just...
it's not random enough, is it?
The vibe isn't feeling right. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Do you know what? That's what we'll talk about tomorrow if anybody comes in at 7:30.
Well, maybe you should... put an advert outside the station.
What, like a little postcard?
Yeah.
What, a postcard in the window?
No, a big poster, you know, an A board.
What? An A board out in the street?
Yeah.
You're nuts. What? To come with the free Wi-Fi and you can come in and hang out with us?
Well, not quite, but... you know, explaining what you do, because don't forget, you are you are going out to the 3 counties.
Yes, mate. And 3 counties. That's what we do.
You've got to get a more
Colin, can you get us some people? Could you go outside now and just start shouting and get people to come in tomorrow?
No, I couldn't, because I'm not dressed yet.
I tell you what, Colin, stay there.
How long does it take?
Stay there.
Hang on,
No. Yeah, stay there, because I want you to hear the next item, and I'd like to get your thoughts on it.
Go on.
I don't sound so real. I genuinely think you might be interested in this, and I'd like to get your thoughts on it.
Good for high shelves. And
Exactly.
We know Colin has a problem with those.
Scientists are involved, Colin.
Oh, right. Go on.
Yeah. At the University of Hertfordshire have been designing prototype robots that could eventually help elderly people such as yourself stay in their homes. Ah, yeah?
Yeah,
Let's have a listen. Let's speak to Dr. Farshid. Now, I'm going to get this name wrong, Doctor.
Oh, dear.
I could see it coming up. I'm going to have a go. Amir Abdullah Iain, is that right?
Yes, that's good. Good morning to you.
Thank you very much. Now, you've been leading the project. What is this about? Tell me.
Right. Well, basically, this starts from the fact that we are living longer, and we would like to keep our personal independence for as long as possible. And also the fact that this living longer will have quite a lot of pressure on the state, and in the fact that we need a lot more support from the state. So we started by looking at what type of activities we were at risk of losing. If we lose those activities when we get older, we lose our personal independence. And we came to a series of activities which concerned our mobility, self-care, and social isolation as factors that were important across five different countries in Europe: UK, Germany, France, Italy, and the Netherlands. So there were these activities which we found very important. Now, from the other side, we looked at robots. Robots are traditionally called mechanical slaves. That's what the general view is. And so we started to say, well, what was the factors that influence acceptance of these technologies? So at the university, we started leading this project, which was partially funded by the European Commission. And we started with an existing robot which looks like a butler. It's called Care Robot.
Oh, a butler robot. I like the sound of that. Does it wear a little dicky bow?
Yes, it's very similar.
Yeah, beautiful.
And it's a mobile platform, and it has a moving arm with a gripper. And then we started looking at what we could do for this machine to kind of make it more acceptable. So this is where our research started.
Makeup.
And the first thing that we could do was that, well, this machine was going to work in an environment, and the environment itself was a domestic environment which the university has given us. And we have, it's a 3-bedroom house. And we have put in this house all sorts of sensors. And the sensors tell us, for example, when the doorbell rings, when the cooker is on, when the TV is on, when you are sitting on the sofa, when you are laying down on the bed. So we thought if we give this information to the robot, then it can probably learn a lot from what is going on in the environment. And the next was, well, what could the robot do then to be a lot more acceptable? And things that are normally missing are empathic and emotional behavior.
Well, you don't know. Listen, I've seen Terminator. You don't want to start making robots empathic and have emotions, because they could rise.
Well, not these ones.
Okay.
We are quite many years away from machines trying to do anything on their own.
But that could happen.
I think there is quite a lot many more technological challenges in our hand. And anyway, so what we started, it was to look at these dimensions, empathy and emotion, but also how machines could have a socially acceptable manner. So we looked at mannerism. For example, when they come close to you, would they be respecting your social boundaries? Would they be coming into your intimate space or into your personal space? Or would they stay at a socially acceptable manner? And would they respect your individual preferences? But on the top of this, we also looked at, well, okay, these machines are going to be any use. They should have a working memory. So if they want to remember my preferences, they should have a memory. So as you see, the project is quite a complex project to have.
But so what would they do? What would they do, Fashi? What they like cook the supper and talk to you and stuff like that?
No, in the scenarios that we've developed. So, for example, there is a scenario to show that this technology can potentially work. We developed some scenarios. And some of these scenarios are around the problems which I first identified. So, for example, one of these problems are people forgetting to take their medicine or drinking of water to be hydrated. And, or people are scared of opening the door because they don't know who's behind the door. That impacts on the social isolation. So we then made these scenarios which will put the robot in action. The robot will be a companion in a companion role with you. And in this companion role, it has learned that you haven't had a glass of water for about 2 hours.
So it would say, go and have some water.
Well, actually, in our scenario, the robots don't speak much, and we try to come with what I meant as empathic interaction, which will be a language-free interaction. So the robot will be pointing at the glass of water and looking at you, and then looking at you curiously.
I see. So it points at the water, it turns its head to one side, and pulls maybe like does a sad face.
Exactly, you got it right. So basically, just to say, the robot doesn't have a human face or a face which we can transfer, but we have a tablet which is in a robot on a tray. And this tablet can be removed and becomes your remote controller. And in this tablet, you can see through the eyes of the robot. Whatever the robot sees,
I love all this.
If the robot is looking at the glass of water, you can see that it's looking at a glass of water. And at the moment that it's looking at the glass of water, it has a curious face,
Hey.
it has a sad face, or it has a happy face.
When do you... I genuinely, I love all this stuff, Archie. When do you think that this might actually move into people's houses?
Well, we're probably about 10 years away from this. So one of the first things that we need to overcome is safety, because these machines are going to be going into people's houses.
Yeah.
They need to be safe for interaction. But the other thing is we also need to understand a bit more of our own ethics. So, for example, a big part of our project was about presenting these scenarios to people and then finding out where do they stand ethically. So, for example, can a robot say no to you? You know, if you have been... Why would you want a robot to say no? Because are you questioning whether we should be getting robots to be our slaves? So let's put this in this way. So what we looked at was there was a relationship triad between a person, the informal carer, and the formal carer.
Yeah.
And in this relationship triad, whether the carer was coming from a medical perspective or whether it was a social instruction, the individual who was being cared for would accept or would disregard some of these instructions.
Yeah.
Now, one of those things was, for example, if you have been told not to have too many glasses of coffee, and you're asking your robot to serve you another coffee more than to your today's dosage, you're able to say no.
Yeah.
And
just turn it off and turn it on again.
More to that was also there are issues around our personal information, our privacy.
Right.
So one of the elements of this triad are, for example, when my daughter would like to know what I am doing in my home because I'm being looked after by the robot.
Yeah.
So this you probably would have seen in the movie Frank and the Robot, where the daughter and the son wanted to know what Frank was doing in the house. And the question we asked was whether in this scenario the robot is allowed to pass this information. And so we passed this question to these people in these 5 different countries. And we tried to get a kind of measure for where do we stand ethically about this.
Yeah.
So from the project, we developed these frameworks which allow us to get the type of technology.
Listen, I have to move on. I could talk to you about this all day. I genuinely find this fascinating. One final thing. Will we ever have robots that can fall in love?
Well, I wouldn't go that far yet. I mean, we are working on empathy and emotion, but I think making sense of all of these senses, all of these human senses for the machine has been really, really difficult.
Because I would love to fall in love with a robot, but if it would be nice, wouldn't it? Because you could switch it off if it got on your nerves.
I'm sure there are machines currently in Las Vegas that are being sold for this purpose.
It's a beautiful thought.
Thanks for your time.
Doctor, listen, I really appreciate your time. Genuinely fascinating. It's Dr. Farshid Ahmed Abdalian. Colin, we'll get your thoughts. John, stay there. I'll come to you in a bit.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In St Albans on the North Orbital Road, there's been an accident between the Park Street roundabout and the London Coney roundabout. That's closed a lane and it's making it very slow through there at the moment. On the A1 southbound, there are queues building up between the Holiday Inn and the Stirling Corner. And in Denham on the A40 Western Avenue, it's very slow from the Denham roundabout towards the M25. On the motorways, the M25 anti-clockwise has queues from junction 18 for Chorleywood around to junction 16 for the M40. The A1M southbound's very slow towards junction 7 for Stevenage, and a bit further away on the M11 southbound there's been an accident between junctions at junction 7 for Harlow and 6 for the M25. It's on the hard shoulder, but it's very slow past that stretch. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Samantha?
Yeah?
Could you ever fall in love with a robot?
No.
No?
No, because that would be like a film.
But if you didn't know it was a robot, if it was like a really hot guy... and you didn't know it was a robot, and you're in bed with him, and then one day, like smoke, and his eye pops out.
I think you'd just be mortified.
Yeah. So you could?
No,
You're weird.
Local and vocal across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's 8 o'clock, I'm Barry Caffrey. The headlines: MK budget rejected, Beds PCC triggers referendum for higher council tax, and brothel in Luton shut down.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
A controversial Milton Keynes council budget, which was set to make £22 million worth of cuts, has been rejected by councillors. Local homeless shelters had faced possible closure. That may still happen, as the party leaders will now go back and negotiate a new budget. Hugh Wright lives at the Orbit Housing Association in Fishermead and Bletchley, which could close because of the cuts.
Basically, in my opinion, when we turned up for the meeting, the council seemed very unprepared for the sort of questions we were asking. One of the questions was, well, if you're going to make the cuts, what provisions are you going to put in place to help us? We didn't even get a response. All we got told is, oh, well, we're talking with Orbit. And that was it.
The Prime Minister has criticised the Bedfordshire Police and Crime Commissioner for his plan to charge the public more for policing in the county. Labour PCC Ollie Martins has triggered a referendum by asking for a 16% increase in the police precept on council tax bills. Andy Sylvester, the campaign director at the Taxpayers Alliance, says now is not the right time to ask people to pay more.
Well, I think if the police force wants more money, it needs to talk to local authorities and work out ways to maximise the amount that goes into frontline policing from existing budgets, rather than at a time when people still aren't feeling necessarily the effects of the economic recovery that the Chancellor is so keen to tell us about.
Health economists are claiming that some parts of the NHS are suffering because too much money is being spent on new drugs. Researchers at the University of York say the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence, or NICE, needs to lower the threshold of what it's prepared to pay substantially so that other treatments can also be funded. The owner of British Gas, Centrica, has announced a 35% fall in its profits last year. It's blamed the lower gas and oil price as well as the warm weather in 2014. The company has also announced it's cutting capital investment in the North Sea by 40% over the next 2 years. Bedfordshire Police has closed down a suspected brothel in Luton. A 41-year-old man and a 30-year-old woman were arrested on suspicion of managing a brothel in Cowper Street and have been bailed to return to Luton Police Station on the 30th of March. And researchers at the University of Hertfordshire have developed a prototype of a social robot to help elderly people live independently. It can potentially help to prevent isolation and loneliness, as well as offering stimulating activities. Over the past 3 years, the project team successfully carried out a wide range of studies in the university's robot house. And the weather forecast, dry and cloudy this morning, but a band of rain will spread in from mid-morning onwards, with most parts ending the day wet. Highs of 8 degrees Celsius, that's 46 in Fahrenheit. BBC Three Counties Radio News. I'll be back with more at 8:30.
Morning, last hour of the show. Thank you, Barry. Top 10 songs about mums. We got 5 songs that make you cry. And could you fall in love with the robot? 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This
Don't tell me.
BBC Three Counties
Tell the listener.
Radio.
I said I could probably learn to love that one that went biddy biddy biddy.
Biddy biddy biddy.
He was cute.
You could love a robot, couldn't you, Scoins?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Which one?
Which robot? Which is the hottest robot? I tell you the hottest robot. That woman from Battlestar Galactica. She was a hot robot.
Bjork as a robot in that video.
She's not a robot, mate. She's Icelandic.
Android. She's an android in that.
Everyone's forgetting about Blade Runner, but they did go a little bit rogue.
No, I didn't like Daryl Hannah in that.
Scary.
Yeah, the eyes. The eyes certainly didn't have it then. Colin, you heard the good doctor there talking about sex with robots in the future?
Yes, I did.
Could you?
Nah.
No? What if they were hot?
Nah.
Who's your hottest woman in the world, Colin?
Oh, dear.
Living or dead? Although that'd be weird. Any time today. We finish at 9 o'clock.
What about Sophia Loren?
Yeah, but she's getting on a bit.
No,
now. I think it's got to be Carol Vorderman.
Right, so there's a robot Carol Vorderman, right? And
not a robot one.
No, okay, but she is hot for you, Colin. Come on, man, you've had a few bevies, of course you would.
I don't drink much.
Well, you wouldn't need to drink much. It's robot Carol. She looks, feels and smells like the real Carol Vorderman. She's not boring.
I really don't know.
Oh, come on, man. If there's a hot robot that looks like Carol Vorderman, we all would. Let me ask John. John?
Yeah.
There's a hot Carol Vorderman robot, and she wants you, right?
Okay.
You're not going to say no to that, are you?
Well, she doesn't really do it for me, but I suppose if that's what you're into.
Why are they all quibbling? There is nothing about this scenario that's real.
That's right.
Right, OK, John, who would it be for you?
Linda Lusardi.
Oh.
All right, so you're going back to the 80s. Classic. And we can keep this talk going for the next 10 minutes as our next guest isn't there at the moment. So, there's a hot Linda Lusardi robot.
If she's listening, she's not going to be there.
And it's Linda Lusardi from 1984, John. Right?
Yes.
Prime Lusardi. Lusardi indeedy. So, she's coming on to you in a robot nightclub in the future. Right? You've had a few bevies. Hey! You've always been against these robots in the past, but now you're actually talking to one and interacting. You're thinking, I can't see the join. Would you? You would, wouldn't you, John?
Yeah, Linda Lusardi, you couldn't turn her down.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the Linda bot.
John, what did you call in for? Was it to have a go at Colin for turning down robot Carol Vorderman?
No. It's that gentleman you had on from the Hertfordshire University.
Oh, yeah, the doctor, yeah. Good doctor, yeah.
Have they not watched iRobot and stuff like that?
Well,
he's on about Frank and the robot. He actually reprogrammed the robot to do burglaries.
Now I see your reticence about the Lusardi bot.
I did say to him, isn't there a chance they could rise and kill us? And he said, no, that's a long way in the future.
He's not denying it.
At the moment, it's got no legs. It's just on a platform.
So, John,
the iRobot, they started off as help, and obviously they were programmed with additional stuff that then they chipped into, and it all went a bit Pete Tong.
Yeah, but that wasn't a documentary. You know that, don't you?
No, that was a film, obviously. But I mean, films are becoming reality.
So, Colin.
Yeah.
You've got... This is incredible. I'm surprised you've not thought about this. You've got a hot robot, Carol Vorderman, in your house, and you're going to trust her with your valuables?
No.
She could steal them, mate. She's got a little hatch in her stomach.
No, I wouldn't
I mean, she could just put, like, jewels in and stuff. So
I wouldn't trust the robot.
You've had a wonderful, passionate time with her. You've fallen asleep, and then she's going around stealing your jewellery.
Well, there you go.
Putting it in her stomach. You happy with that, Colin? Is that the future
I'm
you
not.
want? Is that the future you want? Because that's the future you're going to get.
No,
Thin end of the wedge, mate.
Gone by then.
John, thanks for that. I think you put Colin right in his place. He's not thought that through, has he?
No. This is the problem, and this is how those films end up going the way they do.
I will take two from the top and one from the bottom. I have what Carol Vorderman. I want to kiss you.
Have some insurance and...
Have some... I am now a trained pilot. I am also trained in the art of love making. I am not putting your jewels in my stomach hatch. It is not happening. I will kill you!
That is what Colin wants, is it? He's a deviant.
He starts off with L. bifidus digestivum and ends up with burglary.
Anyone?
Robo Carol Vorderman.
Yeah. I don't want robots coming over here, moving in next door to me with all their funny food. Their funny robot food. 0845. It's coming over here, stealing our jobs. 08459 455 555.
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Now, Milton Keynes Council has had its budget thrown out by opposition councillors. Local homeless shelters had faced possible closure after the Labour leaders of the council set out £22 million of savings. That may still happen, as the party leaders will now go back and negotiate a new budget. We've talked about the homeless shelters that might face closure, Paul. Of course, that's only a tiny percentage of this £22 million. What other effects might there be? Are they... We've heard, haven't we, that we are now getting to the stage where cuts will actually be more noticeable to the man and indeed the woman in the street.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're going to see, this is definitely going to happen, you're going to see parking charges rise. Certainly for the general public, they're going up from 40p to 50p in the cheap bits, from £1.40 to £2 in the more expensive bits. And indeed, what was proposed last night is if you're someone who works at the city centre, perhaps, and lots of businesses were there last night. We had big names. Santander were there, formerly Abbey National, of course. Big head office in the town.
Yep.
Very upset that parking wasn't good enough. They said there weren't enough spaces, and also they were putting up the permit prices, which was going to have a demonstrable impact on its workers. And indeed, we heard from some business leaders who said that they were coming to the end of their contracts, that they were perhaps also going to use a break in their contract, which meant that they could pull out of Milton Keynes entirely. So, something as on the face of it, small as parking, having a big impact on whether or not businesses succeed in Milton Keynes.
You spoke to Peter Marland. Just fill in for those who are unaware of Milton Keynes politics who he is and why he's so significant in this.
Milton Keynes Council is what they would call no overall control. Not one single party has the full majority, and at the last election, Labour just edged over the finish line with a more number of councillors. So Labour is in control at the moment. The largest second opposition party is the Conservatives, then the Lib Dems. I think there's one UKIP who wasn't there last night, I don't think. And Andrew...
Peter Marland. Sorry, there's a lot of names, yes.
Andrew Geary is the former leader. Peter Marland is now in charge, and he was the man who was tasked with putting this budget through, and asked him yesterday if he was disappointed that he'd failed.
Of course you're disappointed, because what happens is you go through a whole period of consultation, you build a budget, and you do what you think is best. And obviously, in an overall control council tonight, we've been told that's what other people don't think is best. And what we need to do, and what I said tonight, was people will understand that there are political differences. What they don't understand was that there was no alternative presented. And now what we have to do is work together to make sure that there is a budget by next week for the good of the people of Milton Keynes.
There were some criticisms that perhaps areas within the council's own spend, so sick pay, for example, was brought up as being particularly high, hadn't been addressed before, going on to make some quite difficult decisions about very emotive subjects like homelessness. You know, some of the groups, obviously, you know, seeing a troop of scouts protesting outside the council is never going to look particularly great. I mean, what can you do within your own organisation before you start looking outside?
Well, I think that's a really fair question, but what you have to remember is that you can't make a saving and say that saving is robust without knowing how you're going to do it. And sick pay in most local authorities is a problem, and actually we lose around 12 working days sick every year, and that's not good enough. The target should be around 7. But this problem has been around this council for a very long time. And we have reduced costs. So, you know, senior management costs have fallen, and the overall pay bill will be going down by £3.4 million this year. So we are looking at our own house. We are keeping our house in order. But ultimately, you can't find £22 million worth of savings by taking out 3 managers or 4 managers. It's a bigger task than that, and it's a much more fundamental task than that, and people have got to face up to that.
The thing is, these cuts have to be made, don't they? £22 million has to be found somewhere. So for Lib Dems and the Tories to say, ain't going to do it this way, well, we were hopefully going to be speaking to Edith Bald, but we can't seem to get hold of her. Where do they suggest the cuts come from?
Well, some might say cuts, Iain, some might say savings.
Thank you. Apologies,
yes. Different side of the fence.
Thank you.
They would say that they could make some further reductions in the council spend. We heard just then about the sick pay budget as well, which was quite high. I think £6 million was quoted to me last night. They said they can make some savings there.
How do you make savings on sick pay?
Well, by
not paying sick pay?
Well, or just make sure that why are people going off ill so much?
Maybe they're sick?
Well, perhaps there's a reason for that. Is it because of stress at work? Could they change anything there which would make it less likely that they're going to have those sorts of things? Yeah. I mean, you know, there are lots of options available to councils, though, you know, what they are saying now is they've reached the point of no return. They can't any longer trim around the edges, do the basic stuff that they used to be doing to just, you know, trim around the edges and make sure that the back office was tidy as possible. Now they're going to have to make the actual, you know, savings and reductions in the front end, and to, you know, start making savings in the actual services that people notice.
On a scale of 1 to 10... how dull are those meetings? Seriously, are they dull, or is there? Do you have little tricks to keep you kind of occupied? Do you have fun with the other? I know that some people from different radio stations with their Milton Keynes radio, stuff like that. Do you kind of have any bants with them, or do you keep pretty much yourself to yourself?
Can I be honest, Ian?
Yeah,
I've got beef with MKFM.
Whoa, hey, he's going, Catherine. He's going there.
Wow, and you name them.
I'm naming them.
He's I'm
going to name another one as well. MK News.
Whoa, guys, can I just say that Paul Scoins has now gone rogue. This is nothing to do with me, nothing to do with Catherine. Not the views of the BBC. Paul Scoins is going AWOL with his words.
When you're on a press table, guys, you share the wealth. You share the plug sockets.
Yeah.
You share the table space. Yeah. You don't double up, bring along a friend from your station or from your newspaper, and double up. The Citizen were there. They were just sending one guy. He was there.
Yeah. Yes.
MKFM, they had 2 people.
Okay.
And he'd Bagsied the seat.
You can't Bagsy
seats. You can't Bagsy a seat.
You could have turned up earlier.
I was there early. I was
Well,
early
you weren't there earlier?
Well, no, I was there about 3 p.m.
Well, you should have turned up earlier.
What, 2 p.m?
Yeah, but you should have got there and put your coat on the seat and
put your leg on the other.
I almost made a joke about towels on deck chairs, but I thought that'd be a bit racist.
Yeah, it would be, mate, and yet you've done it. You brought that to my show. So you had to do the whole meeting, you had your little computer on your lap, did you?
I was on my lap in the corner, and then later on somebody let me go. Somebody let me on after they'd left. After they'd done their job. They said, oh, there's a space there. I said, thanks, guys.
Wow. I really think you need to go back home and go to bed and have a little lie down and maybe speak to your wife, yeah?
Had 3 hours sleep.
OK.
Hurts.
OK, we're going to go.
So tired.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In St Albans on the North Orbital Road, there's a lane blocked by an accident between the Park Street roundabout and London Coney roundabout. It's very slow through there at the moment. On the A1 Great North Road, it's very busy from the St Neots Junction towards the Black Cat roundabout through the roadworks. And on the A404 Marlow Hill, that's starting to get very busy into High Wycombe. Looking at the motorways, the M25 anti-clockwise is queuing from junction 18 for Chorleywood to 16 for the M40. It's also slow on the M1 southbound from junction 10 for the Luton Airport Spur Road to 9 for Redbourne, and the A1M southbound's very busy too around junction 7 for Stevenage. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Sammy. 8:17. Get out, Scoins. 8:17. It is Thursday, the 19th of February. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. A controversial Milton Keynes Council budget, which was set to make £22 million worth of cuts, has been rejected by councillors. And a new study suggests the NHS is paying too much for new drugs, leaving less money to cover the cost of other treatments.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Could you ever make love to a robot?
What?
Could you ever... They're working on a robot at the University... Was it Hertfordshire, Catherine?
Hatfield?
Yeah, the University of Hertfordshire, where you can make love to it.
It's the University of Hertfordshire in Hatfield.
That was it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I wasn't really listening to the story, but you can make love to it.
You heard a whole other story that wasn't happening.
Could you ever?
What?
Because Colin wants a robot Carol Vorderman, even though she'd go and steal his jewels and put them in her stomach box.
Really?
There was the other fella who wanted Linda Lusardi from 1984. Could you? I mean, could you?
No, I don't. No.
Do you know the weirdest thing about that whole conversation was that Colin turned down Sophia Loren.
Yeah. You can't see
Carol Vorderman.
You can't see the cracks. It looks like a human being. It just talks a bit like that.
No.
No?
Oh, what's the point?
OK, well, that's it. All right, very dismissive. What?
That's thrown you, hasn't it?
Across beds, hearts and bucks.
This is Iain Lee.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
What's on your show this morning? I've got 4 cups of coffee on the go, Kels. No wonder I've got a coffee headache. But thank you.
She's using all my water again.
What do you mean your water? It comes from the tap, mate.
I fill the kettle, Kelly uses it.
Yay.
That's not true. I fill it for you every morning.
How dare you?
We're not stealing your milk.
You're stealing our milk?
No, we've got our own milk. We've got our own milk because I wouldn't dare touch your milk.
You know what happens if people steal my milk.
You go nuts.
Last time someone stole my milk, I put Dulux Brilliant White in it. And you'd never know which one is in it.
Dealey was a bit peaky last week. What's on your show this morning? We've got to be quick, so we've got guests.
Coming up on the big phone in this morning at 9, how much sympathy do you have for new parents who struggle to afford childcare? One of the biggest stories around today, the Family and Childcare Trust say the cost of part-time nursery places for the under-2s has risen by 1/3 since 2010, and they're urging politicians to take action. Their figures show new parents who want to go back to work before their baby turns 2 will generally face a bill of £6,000 per year. And this figure has increased by 5% in the last year alone. Or perhaps you think it's scandalous that parents who want to work and have a family face such huge costs to do so, and it's time the government found more money to subsidise childcare places. Or there may be people listening who think it's high time couples who choose to have children accept that they are expensive to keep. and one of them will have to stay at home rather than relying on the taxpayer to pick up the bill for their care. From 9 this morning, we'll debate this. How much sympathy do you have for new parents who struggle to afford childcare? 08459 455 555.
Every weekday from 12, local people.
Wendy Howson and David Shipley, the trustees of the Harpenden charity Spotlight on Africa.
So privileged to see lives change, conditions change.
Local stories.
A death cafe will be popping up in Bedford later this month, opening its doors for you to share sensitive stories and talk of afterlife.
Of people with the similar concerns. And you can have a light-hearted side of it as well, and we often end like that, you know.
Local life.
We're going to be heading off into the unassuming countryside of Bedfordshire.
We all know the brick pits and the industrial spoil that's marked the Marston Vale.
Nick Coffer, weekdays from 12 on BBC Three Counties Radio. Call 08459 455 555.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
That's the phone number, 81333. Start your text 3CR. Have we got any texts this morning, Catherine Boyle?
Phil says, I missed a bit of that last conversation. Where do they sell the robot Carol Vordermans?
The robots don't exist yet. We're looking probably about 3 or 4 months into the future here. We're like Tomorrow's World. And by the way, I would buy a DVD of the best of Tomorrow's World if they released that, wouldn't you?
I'd like to compare and contrast.
Oh, it would be fantastic. Any others, or shall we...
Loads of others, but lots of listy song things. Are we still doing that?
Yeah,
do you really want that?
We'll do that after past.
Go on,
Let's crack on and we'll do that after past. Thank you, Catherine. Now, Bedfordshire's Police Commissioner has officially triggered a referendum for a bigger slice of the council tax after writing to local authorities. Ollie Martins wants to raise his share of the pot by almost 16%. Well, the whole referendum is costing £350,000. Could rise to £600,000 if he loses. Let's speak now to Detective Sergeant Emma Carter from the Beds Police Federation. Good morning, Emma.
Good morning, Ian.
Do you think that people are willing to pay more for policing?
I think the members of the public in Bedfordshire have got a very difficult decision ahead of them because on the one hand, I assume that every member of the public wants to see a police officer and wants a service that we can deliver, but they don't see why they should have to pay extra for it when really they probably pay significant amounts already within their council tax. So I think they've got a difficult decision to make.
David Cameron said yesterday that Beds Police should exist all possibilities before putting up taxpayers' bills. Are there any further savings that could be made?
The difficulty that we're in is that we've made significant savings already. The Chief Constable and the PCC have already collaborated a number of units with Beds, Herts and Cams, and so every avenue is being explored, and also internal processes are being looked at. So they are still, and that is an ongoing piece of work that is still happening even today to look at where they can save money. But unfortunately, the money that we now get from the government has been slashed so much, that I think that the PCC has been left with no choice but to ask for this unique. To take this unique stance.
Going to cost £350,000, will rise to £600,000 if it doesn't go through, Emma. That money could have been spent better elsewhere, couldn't it?
Well, it's difficult for me to comment on the PCC's budgets because I don't really... Where that campaign money is coming from, only Mr Martins can comment on that. But I would like to think that, yes, putting police officers back on the front line and providing them with the equipment they need should be at the forefront of any PCC's or Chief Constable's mind.
Emma, thank you very much. Detective Sergeant Emma Carter, Beds Police Federation. Well, the Bedfordshire's PCC, Ollie Martins, is with me. Let's put that to you. Where is that £350,000 coming from?
It'll come from the reserves.
OK. So how big are the reserves? Big enough that you can get rid of 350,000,
yeah,
possibly 600,000 without affecting anything.
I think it's important to say that because we're having the referendum on the same day as the general election, it actually costs a third of what it would otherwise have cost. So
but still £600,000 if it goes wrong.
We're making a saving that way. Yeah, it is, but it's spending that money in the hope that if there's a yes vote, there will be a £4.5 million permanent benefit each year to the police budget in Bedfordshire.
There isn't going to be a yes vote, is there?
Well, that's for the people to say, isn't it?
But do you really think so? With the YouGov poll, I know you conducted your other polls, but YouGov, that is their job. 70% of the people they polled said they weren't prepared to pay more.
Well, as we discussed last time, I had a number of data sets and I had to analyse what I thought they were saying. The conclusion that I've come to is that there is a silent majority, and that the best chance of getting that silent majority to speak is by having the referendum on the same day as the general election.
The Taxpayers Alliance this morning said you're wrong to do this.
Well, and I heard that they were also saying, why don't I go and speak to the local councils to see if they've got some money I could have? But then, same day, you're also reporting the difficulties that Milton Keynes are having. I know it's no different in Luton. Central Beds are pretty hard-pressed. Bedford as well. Local authorities are also being squeezed, so I don't think there's any extra money there.
The Prime Minister says you're wrong on this.
Yeah, I was actually quite surprised at how appallingly briefed he was, and B, that he wanted to interfere in this. This government, his government, created the role that I've got, police and crime commissioners, so that people like me could look after policing in our areas and make policing more accountable and deliver the policing that the public want. And that's what I'm engaged in. And I'm using the legislation that his government also brought in, where if I'm making a large increase in the police precept, it has to be subject to a public vote. So why he felt the need to turn this into a political football in the run-up to the general election? Maybe that's what was going on.
But you yourself, last time you came in, and now you're turning it into a political football, aren't you? You're criticising the government for the decisions that they have made. When you came in last time, you criticised the government for the cuts that you're faced. This is a political football, isn't it?
Actually, more than the cuts, the issue here is about how Bedfordshire is funded relative to other forces. So the cost of policing in Bedfordshire per day per resident is 44 pence. That compares to a national average figure of 55 pence. That level of funding is on a par with what places like Hertfordshire, Cambridgeshire, Suffolk, Norfolk, what they're spending. When you look at the crime challenge that we face, though, we look more like the West Midlands, Greater Manchester, Merseyside, and Metropolitan Police. So, we're not getting the funding that we need. We're trying to, the analogy I used was we're trying to cover a double bed with a single duvet. And, that's very difficult. And that's why I felt the only option I have is to ask the public to pay a bit more through the council tax. It's a relatively modest increase of £24.80 extra a year for a Band D property.
So you're saying the Prime Minister and the Taxpayers Alliance and the YouGov poll you commissioned, they're all wrong?
Well, I'm saying I've got a different take, and I'm also, my role is to try and keep this county safe, through the way that Bedfordshire Police is funded.
And if the referendum doesn't go the way you want it to, are you saying this county will no longer be safe?
I'm saying that Bedfordshire Police will be in a very difficult place. Again, this is why I'm having to do something now, because we can see that we've got a £6 million gap in our budget in 3-4 years' time. The longer that I don't do anything about that looming situation, the more difficult it will be to deal with it.
If you don't get this increase, will lives be at risk?
I wouldn't say dramatic things like that, but what I will say is that there will be less police officers in this county, and
will there be more crime?
That will put Bedfordshire Police in a very difficult situation.
But what does that mean? Explain that in a way that people will understand how it will affect them directly. Well, will there be more crime if you don't get this money?
Earlier this week, you had Sir Peter Fahey, the Chief Constable in Greater Manchester, saying we need to have a serious debate in Britain about what do we want from our police. And he was saying that the way things are going in Greater Manchester, his force is going to become just a service that responds to calls from the public, that can't be involved in problem solving, that can't do much preventative work. And, frankly, I was looking at what he was saying and thinking to myself, well, if you want to know what the future looks like, come and look at Bedfordshire Police now, because we don't have police constables in our neighbourhood policing teams. That's created really, I think, a force that is far less visible to the public, that is far less capable of gathering the community intelligence that you get through having proper neighbourhood policing. And that's where we're at now. And my proposal in terms of putting the police precept up is to put police constables back into neighbourhood policing. And, the public are telling me loud and clear that that's what they want to see.
Will there be more crime if you don't get this money?
You can't say that there is definitely a connection between the number of police officers and the level of crime. That's why, we have seen in this Parliament a reduction overall in the number of police officers nationally, while we've continued to see recorded crime falling. So I wouldn't go so far as to say that there would be more crime. I do think that it would make it a lot more difficult for the police to protect the public and fight crime effectively.
Final question, Ollie. If you lose, and that's £600,000 out of the police's bank account, will you step down?
Well, if I step down, we'd then have a by-election which would cost the police budget even more. So I don't think that would be a sensible...
So you'd stand by that? If you wasted £600,000, you'd stand by that decision?
Well, it's an exercise in democracy, isn't it? I've made a proposal. I'm now putting it to the people. I'm saying that that's the only way I can see, of meeting the financial challenge that we face in Bedfordshire, and B, of delivering the neighbourhood policing that the public want. Now it's up to them.
Ollie, thank you very much.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
There's still a lane blocked on the North Orbital Road in St Albans between the Park Street roundabout and the London Coney roundabout because of an accident. And on St Albans Road in Watford, that's looking very busy around Lowestoft Road in both directions. On the A1 Grey North Road from the St Neots Junction towards the Black Cat roundabout, that's looking very slow. Also looking slow from Tempsford up to the Black Cat roundabout northbound as well on the speed sensors through the roadworks. And on the M1 southbound, it's very busy from Junction 10 for the Luton Airport Spur Road to Junction 9 for Redbourne. And it's also very slow on the M25 anti-clockwise from Junction 18 for Chorleywood to 16 for the M40. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Across beds, hearts and bugs.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
It's just after 8:30 with the headlines. I'm Barry Caffrey. Milton Keynes Council has had its budget thrown out by opposition councillors. Local homeless shelters had faced possible closure after the Labour leaders of the council set out £22 million worth of savings. That may still happen as the party leaders will now go back and negotiate a new budget. The Police and Crime Commissioner for Bedfordshire, Ollie Martins, has been criticised by David Cameron for wanting people to pay more council tax. A referendum will ask people to accept or reject a 15.8% increase. Bedfordshire Police has closed down a suspected brothel in Luton. A 41-year-old man and a 30-year-old woman were arrested on suspicion of managing a brothel in Cowper Street and have been bailed to return to Luton Police Station on the 30th of March. Health economists are claiming that some parts of the NHS are suffering because too much money is being spent on new drugs. Researchers say the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence needs to lower the threshold of what it's prepared to pay substantially so that other treatments can be funded. And the weather forecast, dry and cloudy this morning, but a band of rain will spread in from mid-morning onwards, with most parts of the day ending wet. Highs of 8 degrees Celsius, that's 46 in Fahrenheit.
Three Counties Sports.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
England's women have won their first 2020 international against New Zealand by 8 wickets. The BBC's Henry Moran reports.
After what they conceded was a disappointing start to the tour, England's women fought back in the best way possible here in Whangarei. It was as convincing a T20 victory as you can imagine. Austerfield, they reduced New Zealand to 18 for 6 before the White Ferns eventually struggled to 60 all out in the 20th over. As she has done all tour, Heather Knight once again starred with the ball. Her off-spin claimed 3 Kiwi wickets. The run chase was fairly straightforward. Just 2 wickets fell as England chased that small target of 61. They reached it in the 12th over. Captain Charlotte Edwards leading from the front with an excellent 32 not out. The perfect tonic to a tricky start to the tour in New Zealand, and England will be looking to do it all again tomorrow in the second T20.
Former England bowler Graham Swann says Paul Collingwood should be coaching England and not Scotland. Collingwood, who was part of the England setup for the World 2020 last year, is now coaching Scotland at the World Cup. England play Scotland in Pool A on Sunday. England fly half Danny Cipriani has ended speculation about his future by signing a new 2-year contract at Premiership side Sale. Cipriani, who would have been out of contract in the summer, had been linked with a move to French side Toulon. In the Champions League, Cristiano Ronaldo was on the score sheet as Real Madrid won 2-0 at Schalke in the first leg of their last 16 tie. Elsewhere, Basel and Porto played out a 1-1 draw in Switzerland. The knockout stage of the Europa League gets underway tonight with 4 British teams in action. Tottenham begin a run of 6 matches over the next 17 days when they host Fiorentina in the first leg of their last 32 tie. Liverpool are also at home against Besiktas. And retiring jockey AP McCoy has confirmed he is set to ride Carlingford Lough in next month's Cheltenham Gold Cup. The 19-time champion won his first ever Irish Hennessy Gold Cup on board the horse at Leopardstown earlier this month. Those are the sports headlines. I'm back with News Bulletin for you at 9.
This is Iain Lee
on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Yes. Where's Dealey? We've been dead quiet with Dealey.
Yeah.
What's your beef, Kathy? You look upset. What's going on?
Oh, nothing. We're just getting a lot of phone calls. Every time we get Ollie Martins on, people want to come on and have their say, but they don't want to have their say.
What?
So they want to come on and suggest we speak to their local council about how crime is rife in their area. And I'll say, well, why don't you tell us about it? No, but you get Ollie Martins on too much. Well, the fact is that if it's about Ollie Martins, then Ollie Martins is the man for the job.
Ollie Martins has called a referendum. It's the first time this has ever happened in the country in regards to funding for the police. Of course we're going to get him on.
But still, thanks very much for the suggestion.
No, thank you. No, don't waste our time. Only phone up, right, if you want to come on the air.
Yeah.
It annoys me, because I see you taking loads of phone calls when I know that you should be watching Good Morning, This is Britain on the television set.
It does get in the way, yeah.
So only phone up if you want to come on the air. Don't phone up just to go, I want you to do this.
Or
do you want to come on the air? No, don't. Or some people phone up just to shout abuse at you. Yeah. Jog on. Because I'm going to take all your phone numbers and I'm going to phone you in the middle of the night.
This is it. I can usually tell when that's going to happen when the phone is ringing and it says private number, and then I say hello and they start with a, you're doing this a lot. And you think,
my name is not important. Someone said that the other day. My name is not important.
But apparently your view is.
So listen, only phone up if you want to come on the air, right? Seriously, because otherwise I'm gonna come round and do something. I won't.
Just know that that's the rule. It saves embarrassment all round.
Also, we know there are 1 or 2 weirdos out there listening who phone up for kicks. Right? I'm not going to say any more than that, but we know, and so do the authorities. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Kev's in Northampton. You're not a weirdo that phones up for kicks, are you, Kev?
Yes.
Oh. Geezer!
I've got some lovely songs for you.
Go on, Kevin.
Tie Your Mother Down by Queen. A bit of the old 50 Shades there.
I think that's frowned upon.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Tie Your Mother Down. Yes.
Mother's Little Helper by the Rolling Stones.
Oh, we'll have some of that. That's about drugs.
Oh, talking about drugs. Mama, I'm Coming Home by Ozzy Osbourne.
I don't know that one.
Don't you?
How's it go?
Hey?
How's it go?
I'm not singing on radio.
Well, hang on a second, Kev, because Kelly Betts is making wild and crazy accusations about you on my computer screen.
Oh, really?
Kev?
Yes.
Have you just Googled songs about mums and you're just reading off the list?
Well, I can't be reading off the list if I'm talking to you on the phone.
But why you can't multitask?
Well,
did you listen? You heard the grilling, the pounding I just gave Ollie Martins in the question box. I'm going to pound your question box.
Oh, go on then.
Did you Google those song titles?
Later, yes.
Thank you for calling, Kev. We don't want cheats on this show, apart from you, Justin.
Hey, boss, easy. The best mum song, Dave Berry, Mama. Have some of that.
Sing it.
Who's the one who looks after me and cooks my food? Oh, Mama. Mama.
That could have been written for you, Justin. Morning, Karen.
Morning.
You're through to Justin Dealey.
Morning, Kaz. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
All right. What have you got for us, Karen?
Yeah, you were talking about the homeless budget being cut.
Yeah.
Couldn't the council rake some money back and give some unemployed people a job by charging 20p for going to the loo and making these people that are unemployed, give them some community work?
I'll step back in here, Justin. I thought she was going to talk about songs about mums.
That's incredible.
So hang on a minute. What job are you going to give them, Karen?
Oh, clean the toilets.
Oh, what for? For their benefit?
Yeah, why not? I mean...
Clean the toilets. I know what. Why don't we go and spit on them and make them wear sackcloths as well?
Hold on, would you rather them clean the toilet, or would you rather have them lingering around, getting up to no good, burgling cars?
What? Who's burgling cars? The unemployed?
Well, come on, what else do they do? They shoplift to survive.
The unemployed?
You know they do.
I was unemployed. I did very few illegal activities.
Well, I'm sorry. I think we should all pay a small contribution.
20 pence to go to the toilet. So,
yeah.
Karen, what do you do for a living, Karen?
I do voluntary work.
Okay. Oh, do you claim unemployment benefit?
I do.
Ladies and gentlemen, she's one of these car thieves. When was the last time you stole a car, Karen?
Never.
When was the last time you malingered?
Never.
Okay, but sorry, you just said that that's what unemployed people do.
No, not all.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed.
What's your name?
Put that in the podcast. What was that about?
Straight through, Alison.
Karen?
Down the line.
Yeah.
Would you like to clean toilets?
I have done.
Well, brilliant. We'll go and do it. Go and do it. Tell you what you could do. You could steal a car on the way to it, and then you could go and do it.
Well, it's better than sitting indoors.
No, it's not.
The winds are waiting for God.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not because you've got to give some people a certain kind of dignity. Hang on, Alison.
Good morning, darling.
What do you do for a living, Alison?
I don't work.
Right. How many cars have you stolen this week?
I'd like to be able to get out of bed with my MS and try it. I've never stolen. I've never shoplifted.
Hang on a minute. Are you in bed, Alison? You malingerer!
No.
Get out of that bed and go and clean some toilets, love.
I'd love to. If I could get out of bed on my own this morning, I'd be up and out there. But I've got to wait for my carer to come and get me.
Karen?
Yeah?
What'd you say to Alison? She's a lazy malingerer. She's just lying in bed.
Lying in bed at this time of the day?
Isn't it outrageous?
That's disgusting.
It is. You're disgusting, Alison. Tell her, Karen. Tell her how disgusting she is.
You've got to get up. You've got to get up, girl. You've got to get up and do something. You can't just linger in bed all day.
Of course she can't. Anyone would think she had MS or something.
Listen, you can do anything if you put your mind to it.
Yeah, even if your body won't allow you to because the neurons in your brain are damaged, Alison.
No. Near enough every part of my body hurts, and the bits that don't hurt don't bloody work.
Go on, Karen, tell her.
They don't work because you've got lazy-itis, love. You change your thought patterns and tell yourself, I can do this, I can get out of bed. Tell yourself.
Thanks for calling, Karen. Now, Alison, back in the real world.
Hi.
Hi there. Wasn't she incredible?
What is she on? I want some.
Yeah, I'll have a little bit of it as well. How is your MS doing? It sounds pretty lousy.
It's not too... My speech is bad.
I can hear it's a little bit slurred. Yeah, it's not as bad as you think it is, but it's a little bit slurred, yeah.
I sound like I've had too many. But I'm not too good today. I get sort of peaks and troughs with it. And today's one of them days where it took me an hour and a half to just even sit up this morning and that. So, but I've never stolen anything because I don't work.
Yeah, I know. And what surprised me was Karen then, saying that all unemployed people are car thieves and malingerers. Then she's unemployed.
She doesn't work.
She doesn't work.
Perhaps she's judging everybody else that doesn't work by her own standards then.
Alison, listen, would you say you're having a particularly bad time at the moment, or is this kind of all right for you in terms of your MS?
It's not as bad as it has been, and just so in case Karen's listening, when my husband, who's finished downstairs, my carer gets me up and showers me, I'm going out today to help him take some stuff to the local food bank. So I'm just not laying in bed all day.
Just everyone, lock up your cars. Alison, who is unemployed, is going to be on the prowl.
In Dunstable.
Oh, blimey, OK. Alison, thanks for calling. I really appreciate it.
Take care, darling.
Cheers, bye-bye. Dealey?
Incredible call. She was real as well. That is the worrying thing. She is a real person with a real view.
It doesn't get any better than that. All unemployed people are malingerers and car thieves. What do you do for a living? Oh, I don't work. Oh, I don't work.
Oh, dearie.
Justin, I know you've done it. You've sport. Well, I've got a thing in front of me called Older Sexy Time.
Yes, it's quite fruity.
Just to warn people, if you've got kids listening, it's going to get a bit fruity.
I tell you what, we'll do the travel, the news and the weather, so they got time to go and put the kids, wherever, and then it'll be adult conversations for the last 15 minutes.
Here.
Speak to you in a sec.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
In St Albans on the North Orbital Road, there's still a lane blocked between the Park Street roundabout and the London Coney roundabout. That's because of an accident. And on the A1 Great North Road, that's looking very slow in both directions now, between the St Neots Junction and the Black Cat roundabout, and between Tempsford and the Black Cat roundabout because of the roadworks there. In Watford, Pinner Road is looking very busy around the Bushy Arches. And in High Wycombe on the A404 Marlow Hill, that's looking very busy into town as well. On the motorways, the M1 southbound's very slow from junction 10 for the Luton Airport Spur Road to 9 for Redbourne. And the M25 anti-clockwise has queues between junction 18 for Chorleywood and 16 for the M40. But checking the train departure boards, no delays showing up at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Samantha. Ian, as we just spoke to Alison there, who's still in bed. Ian sums it up perfectly. I'm calling the benefit police on Alison right now. She'll be sleeping rough by 9 p.m. tonight. Dearie me. Just put your mind to it. 8:46, it's Thursday the 19th of February. I'm Iain Lee. These are your headlines on BBC Three Counties Radio. Milton Keynes Council has had its budget thrown out by opposition councillors. Party leaders will now go back and negotiate a new one. And the Prime Minister has criticised the Bedfordshire Police and Crime Commissioner for his plan to charge the public more for policing in the county. Dealey's coming up with some very raunchy blue adult content. Before that, let's get the weather. Here's Alina.
Beds, Herts and Bucks weather.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
Hello, Ian. Any initial brightness will soon fade as cloud builds from the northwest. We'll see some outbreaks of rain heading their way across to us in the next few hours. Patchy at first, but becoming more persistent as we go through the afternoon, so quite a wet end to the day. Blustery too as the southwesterly winds strengthen, so temperatures will struggle to get much above 7 or 8 Celsius. This band of rain is quite slow moving, so it's going to be with us through this evening and at first tonight, gradually clearing away through the early hours. 1 or 2 showers following on behind, but becoming mainly dry as we head towards dawn. Temperatures not dropping much lower than 4 or 5 Celsius. Cloudy start to the day tomorrow, mainly dry for a time, but it looks like we could see another spell of rain pushing up from the south, and that could give some wet weather through the afternoon. Highs tomorrow, 7 or 8 Celsius. The rain clears to leave Saturday a much brighter day and mainly dry, although we can't rule out 1 or 2 showers. But Saturday, the better day of the weekend, there'll be some sunshine around, although it will feel quite cold in a brisk northwesterly wind. But on Sunday, it turns very unsettled, wet and very windy for Sunday. And for Monday, it's still unsettled with sunshine and squally showers. And Ian, that's your forecast.
Three Counties Sport.
We're back with another afternoon of live football this Saturday. A top-of-the-table clash at Vicarage Road with Watford against Norwich. MK Dons back at Stadium MK to take on their old rivals Peterborough. Luton away to AFC Wimbledon as the Hatters continue to push for promotion. Stevenage entertaining Southend at the Lamex. Live commentary on your local team with Three Counties Sport. Saturday from 2 here on BBC Three Counties Radio.
Remember, Justin, all unemployed people are car thieves and malingerers.
And they should be cleaning toilets near you.
They should be cleaning toilets to get their benefits, and we should all be paying 20 pence to have a whittle.
It's just unbelievable.
That was good, wasn't it, Kath?
Oh.
I mean, it's amazingly how simple that was.
Yeah.
You know, it's been staring us in the face.
How much do public toilets make? Because I know, it varies, doesn't it? If you go in like Euston or something, I think it's 30 pence.
What's a public toilet?
Sorry?
Well, the one in my town is being turned into a youth club. Sounds like a joke, but it's not.
What?
I mean, that's where we used to knock about anyway.
Tony Fisher's always looking for stories about public toilets being turned into other things.
They're always being closed down. And who has a public toilet? There's certainly not enough to be a nice little money spot.
When I was growing up, they were often, men would congregate there. Yeah. I think that was the problem.
I went to an award-winning toilet last week. I was in Dunstable. Back there a year on, it's still looking fresh.
Thanks for the update.
Just saying.
Justin. By the way, I'm collecting the 50 Shades of Mayhem T-shirts this afternoon.
Excellent. Has Dave Luton phoned in, by the way, because yesterday he didn't pick up the phone. He lost his bottle. Has he phoned you?
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay, boss. It's okay. No, of course he's not called in because he bottled it. He won't call in until Monday now.
He's laying low.
I told him, boss. I told him.
Boss. Oh, excuse me, boss. Boss, excuse me, boss. Oh, boss. No, he's bottled it.
That's a shame. Real shame. That was his big moment.
When it gets into its basket, it'll turn and turn.
Oh, yeah, Dave, why is that?
Its paws
Why is that, Dave?
into the bottom.
Yeah?
Right, and it sounds when it gets on your lap, and it digs its paws into your leg, because it thinks it's going to sleep on a snake.
Dave, I'm going to give you a slap.
I'm going to murder Iain Lee.
Well, if you do that...
Trauma noise.
Yeah, exactly. Justin,
yes.
What have you taken to the streets, please?
It's a fruity one. Again, if you got kids listening, just for the next 2 minutes or so, this does get kind of explicit. In the Telegraph.
Hang on a minute.
How
bear in mind, this is as you often say, it's my name above the door. How explicit are we going to get?
No, it's fine. It's just
It's
people...
not Russ and, Jonathan Ross and Russell Brand style, is it?
It's just people opening up and being honest.
Well, again, that's an appropriate choice of phrase.
It's fine. In the Telegraph today, you sent me out on this one. It says, golden age of sex for couples wed 50 years. So if you have been married for 50 years, you've got a great sex life.
They won't be listening. They'll be too busy rutting.
Oh, no. I've been speaking to those people this morning on the streets, getting their tales, getting people's stories.
Again, the phrase is really not helping today.
Is this true what the experts are saying? Take a listen. Now, so you have been married for over 50 years. Congratulations. The experts are saying that if you have been married for 50 years or more, you've still got a fantastic sex life. Is this true?
Yes.
What about yourself, madam? The longer that your marriage has gone on for, would you say that you've had more fun?
Yeah, and he's a best friend. And if anything happened to him tomorrow, I'd really miss him. I'd get fed up with him at times, but he's my husband, he's my best friend.
So behind closed doors, the fun factor, the longer you're together, is going up?
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
I'm here with Felix. You're not a cat, you can confirm that?
Okay.
Lovely. Now, in today's paper, in the Telegraph, it says there, the golden age of sex for couples wed 50 years. Your parents, are they still quite active?
No, I wouldn't say that.
So what about you? What about people that you know that have been married for over 50 years?
I don't talk to people about their sex life. I might get jealous.
We'll leave it there. Sir, can I ask you a really cheeky question?
Yeah.
Okay. It's in the papers today. It says that couples that have been married for 50 years have a fantastic sex life. The longer that you've been married, has that side of your life got better?
It got worse.
Morning, guys. What's your name?
Richard.
Patricia.
Okay. We're face to face, but I'm going to put this question to you. You've been married for almost 50 years. Congratulations, that's the first thing. It's saying in today's papers that couples that have been married for 50 years have the best time in the bedroom. Is that true?
I would not know.
I would refrain from answering that question.
Can you give us a quick yes or no?
No, I can't give you a quick yes or no.
I think I'm going to take it as a yes, and we'll leave it there. Thank you.
You can't take it as a yes.
Well, I took it as a yes, and there was no violence afterwards. From the people I spoke to this morning in Dunstable and Caddington, most people, the majority of people that I spoke to, some of them wouldn't go on record and say it, but they do agree with what's being said this morning in some of the national newspapers. This is true.
Justin, how close did you come to a smack in the kisser this morning?
Not close at all. People, let's just say, were proud.
What?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Did you nearly come to blows?
No, not at all. If I had been married for 50 years and I was still very active in that department, again,
horrible,
sorry to be fruity, but if I was, I would be very, very proud of that.
I suppose some of that stuff doesn't wrinkle, though, because it's wrinkled already. Kel's got it. Justin got it.
Yeah.
Kath will get it.
No, I did.
It was good.
Oh, it was a good one, wasn't it?
It was good.
So, speaking of wrinkles, Sunday, 5:40, Luton Sydney World, you are charged to come and see 50 Shades of Grey with me, sexy Carol Vorderman robot. Would you like a drink? Would you like a kiss? I love you.
Now I steal your valuables.
What's the key ingredient?
Sorry?
The long hot dog.
Wow.
So far, who's coming? Kels, you coming?
Do I have to?
Yes.
Okay.
Justin, you coming? D-Dog, Dennis is coming?
Yep, he's definitely coming. He confirmed that yesterday. He is 100%
but now,
coming.
Dave Dave Luton and Matty Bombom, they say they're not coming.
Is Laura still coming?
Laura better be coming.
She'll be coming, yep.
Have we got her number?
I've had a tweet from Carpet Martin. He wants to come.
Oh, so even he's invited
I've had a
now.
tweet from Robin. Also Simon, who I believe lives somewhere in Bedfordshire. He wants to go.
Mr. T's coming.
Lots of people want to jump on this bandwagon. If David Lewson doesn't want to go, hey, he's missing out.
Now, when you went and did a Vox last week, you spoke to people who'd been to see the cinema. Were there any men coming out of the cinema?
Very few.
Yeah.
Very, very few.
Beautiful.
It was mainly, now, normally when you send me out, see, today you thought that was going to be uncomfortable for me. It wasn't uncomfortable at all.
I bet you found it very erotic.
It was. On Sunday, I was standing by an exit door at the cinema, waiting for people to come out. I would say...
You should have stood by the entrance.
Yeah, 95% were women, and they were all laughing, they were all giggling.
Yeah.
I wasn't a pet. I wasn't there to be stared at. You know, us men were going on Sunday. It was mainly women having the time of their lives.
They were some of the stuff you told me that they said that you couldn't broadcast was very, very rude.
So a Mexican woman's been arrested in the cinema. Did you hear about that?
No, go on. Is this going to be a racist joke?
No. It was a true story. Well, look it up in the papers.
Well, what happened?
She was enjoying herself.
Oh, really? At the film?
At the film.
Well...
Yes, somebody did make a similar comment to me.
All
that's
right.
why I had to edit that out.
I'm stepping in. I'm stepping into the breach, dear friends. Who have we got? Who's this? Is this Laura?
No, Dave, but he's not there yet.
Oh, Dave Luton's coming on, just.
Well, I hope he's got good news for us.
Well, the good news. Well, he better.
Listen, if you're down a person, maybe I can make.
No, it's fine.
No.
I mean, it's fine. I'll just have to invoice him a tenner for the T-shirt. That's all. I mean, I'm going to go and pick him up today.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind paying for it.
It's all right. Don't worry. You're not coming.
I have my own ticket.
So that is fun. Oh, look, Dave's not answering the phone now.
Oh,
Anything.
What's his problem?
His problem is, mate, he's just, he's a plum, isn't he? That's his problem.
I just think it would be great to get his opinion on a film like that.
Sorry?
Richard and Winslow was.
No.
Oh, they said no.
No, we're full. We're not, but I don't want him coming. Right pain in the old bum. All right, Justin.
Yeah, take care, boss.
Speak to you tomorrow. Ta-ta.
Bye.
There we go.
Winslow's a bit far. I mean, I don't live in Winslow. I live quite close. I could definitely just make it, even at a last-minute thing, if no one turns up.
Honestly, it's you're not welcome. I'm going to say it as bluntly as that. You're not welcome to the cinema.
Why, though?
If there was a sexy male robot, who would you have? David Gandy?
Yeah.
The thing, it would be harder to make. We were promised like sexy robots or virtual reality suits that we could wear, weren't we? By now,
yeah.
Where are those things?
Who's delivering on those promises?
Yeah, I just think you got these scientists. Let's make a robot that will help old people. Yeah, whatever. They're old. They can't even afford robots. I could afford a robot.
Yeah,
I love
I'm
a
surprised you don't already have one.
I used to have a robot dog. I got rid of it. I might buy another one.
Was it any good though?
Nah, it's rubbish.
Did it work on carpet?
Yeah. It was good. It was good. It was like cost me £1,600.
What?
Thank you. I had to buy it I bought it on TV money, one of my first TV paychecks, and even then, I had to be really, really drunk to order it. And then when it came, it was like, oh, it's a little bit rubbish.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Yeah.
What was it called?
I called it Raoul.
Nice.
Yeah. See? Surprised you, didn't it?
Yeah.
He had a birth certificate and everything.
Why did you call him that?
I don't know. I was obsessed with that name at that time.
Raoul is a very nice name.
Thank you very much. Say it again.
Raoul.
Oy.
Travel news for beds, cards and bugs.
BBC Three Counties Radio.
On the M1 southbound, it's very slow from junction 10 for the Luton Airport Spur Road to 9 for Redbourne. And also the M25 anti-clockwise is queues between junction 17 for Maple Cross and 16 for the M40. In St Albans on the North Orbital Road, it's still a lane blocked between the Park Street roundabout and the London Coney roundabout because of an accident. And the A1 southbound still is very slow looking on speed sensors from the Holiday Inn towards Stirling Corner. On the A1 Watford Way as well, from the Apex Corner to Mill Hill Circus is looking very busy. And the A404 in Amersham Hill into High Wycombe, that's looking very busy too. But no problems reported on the trains at the moment. Samantha Bruff, BBC Three Counties Radio.
Samantha, thank you very much indeed. Don't forget there is a podcast of the show if you want to get it. You can go to the BBC Three Counties website, or if you go to iTunes and type in Iain Lee BBC, they pop up there. Only online for 30 days, so get them while they are hot and fresh. Kelly, thank you. Dealey, thank you. Scoinehead, thank you. Catherine Boyle. Oh, I say, how rude. Back tomorrow at 6. Ta-ta.
Local and vocal across Beds, Herts and Bucks.
This is BBC Three Counties Radio.
Thank you, Ian. Good morning. Welcome to the JVS show. I'm Jonathan Vernon-Smith. It's Thursday, it's 9 o'clock. And on today's Big Phone In, how much sympathy do you have for new parents who struggle to afford childcare? The Family